Welcome to the Vault. This is a two-part live pertaining to Bryan Kohberger and his father, their daycare ride down the Indiana highway weeks ago. Video footage has been released to the general public pertaining to two pullovers by a sheriff and a state trooper. I'm going to play that commentary. And I'm also going to talk about Dirty Roberta Laundrie offering to aid her son pertaining to Gabby Petito. You're entitled to your opinion and what you believe. Her role, father's role with this diabolical son who is no longer living. He killed himself, left a journal pertaining to his disturbing crime. I'm going to bring you that said information. This is a two-part live. Daddy Daycare ride with killer son Bryan Kohberger and Dirty Roberta Laundrie's Unwavering Love. You are now listening to The Vault, WFLA, source number one pertaining to Roberta Laundrie. Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $129 Cash App. All stickers and chats are welcome during this live stream. I would like to get feedback if I could during this live stream, so I will kindly drop the link after the audio and my commentary has been given. Thank you for joining me. WFLA News Channel 8 is my first source.
Breaking news on WFLA now. Here is JB Buno. The lawyer for Gabby Petito's family drops a bombshell allegation on the inner correspondence within the Laundrie family between mother and son, claiming Roberta Laundrie offered a shovel to help her son Bryan Laundrie bury Gabby Petito's body. However, the Laundries, they're firing back tonight through their attorney, warning, be careful of what you believe. Good evening to you folks. JB here with you live on WFLA Now. We are back on live stream this evening, this Friday, December 30th, 2022. Of course, we're about to close out the year 2022, and this live stream pertaining to a story that still so many of you continue to follow, a story that we began this year talking so much about. Gabby Petito, Bryan Laundrie, and now a new allegation coming from Gabby Petito's parent, Florida lawyer, Pat Riley. And we're going to go through this here, but want to let you know that we're hearing from Stephen Bertolino tonight, the attorney representing Bryan Laundrie's parents as far as in a New York capacity. Matthew Luca, the attorney now representing them in the state of Florida, and pertaining to this lawsuit, the lawsuit that has been filed on behalf of Gabby Petito's parents against Bryan Laundrie's parents, claiming intentional infliction of emotional distress. There are several key variables between the two families when it comes down to this lawsuit and the allegation that Bryan Laundrie's parents were aware of Gabby's murder and chose to do nothing and chose not to tell the Petitos and the Schmidts where Gabby's body was located and what in fact had happened. Again, the allegation that they knew soon thereafter the murder had occurred that Bryan had murdered Gabby. That is, of course, the allegation really at the core and the center of the lawsuit. We're now over these many months, and we've done many live streams over these many months, learning little nuggets of information. And one nugget that was really a mystery, if you will, is pertaining to this letter that existed between Roberta Laundrie and Bryan Laundrie, her son. And we have it confirmed from both sides that this letter does in fact exist, that it is a letter that Bryan received from her, or it was a letter that Roberta Laundrie wrote to her son, Bryan Laundrie, and the contents of which we were told by Pat Riley, the attorney for Gabby Petito's parents, the contents of this letter would be shock and awe, would reveal something about the Laundries that, again, is reason for the lawsuit being filed against the Laundries and why Joe Petito and Nicole Schmidt aren't just letting this fade into non-existence, why they continue to proceed against Bryan Laundrie's parents. Well, this letter that exists between Bryan Laundrie and Roberta Laundrie, we're starting to learn the contents of this letter, or are we? We're going to get more into that here over the course of this live stream. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to read this letter, or at least a portion of this letter. This is a letter from Pat Riley, Pat Riley is the attorney representing Gabby Petito's family. And it's a letter written to Matthew Luca, the Florida attorney for the Laundrie'S. And it talks about the documents that exist at the center of this case and a motion to bring these documents to light. I'm going to read as follows. This is from December 5th of this year, so just about 3 weeks ago. Dear Mr. Luca, this letter is to follow up with you regarding the following outstanding discovery responses in the above referenced matter. While your clients initially objected to the following requests for production, I believe in light of Judge Carroll's ruling on the defendant's motion to dismiss the plaintiff's amended complaint and his recent ruling on the defendant's motion for protective order, there is no limitation on these discovery requests, and thereby your client's objections are not well-founded. What is at the center of this, that's the end of the first paragraph, at the center of this are the documents that the FBI released in the aftermath and really at the conclusion of their investigation earlier this year. The attorneys for both sides met with the FBI earlier this year, I believe the month was June, and received several items that had been collected over the course of the investigation. That includes the letter, the confession letter, that is, on the right side of your screen there, the confession that Bryan Laundrie wrote, detailing exactly what happened in his final moments with Gabby Petito, and really detailing the reason for the self-inflicted gunshot wound that would claim his life, the reason for his suicide. Another letter, though, that was uncovered that day, or at least received by the Laundrie family, is this letter that we reported on earlier this year from June. It was a letter that was allegedly encased in an envelope that read, "Burn after you read." Now, this, of course, was something that the internet was quite fired up about at the time, and it's hard not to blame people for not wanting information about this story and wanting the answers and the truth once and for all. But when you hear about a letter that is encased in an envelope that says "burn after you read," of course you're going to get a lot of people's attention. But the question I asked him, Pat Riley, at the time was, what is inside this letter? What is in this letter? What is so important in this letter between Roberta Laundrie given to her son Bryan Laundrie that you would write on the cover and really the envelope of that letter, "Burn after you read"? At the time, Pat Riley was coy and he did not want to divulge the contents of that letter. However, the contents of that letter, according to Riley, have now been uncovered in a court filing, the court filing that I began reading to you about the discovery of these, or the seeking of the discovery of these documents and the discovery process.
6 minutes in almost. Can't get to the point of this.
Of the deposition,
wow.
in advance of this lawsuit between Gabby Petito's family and Bryan Laundrie's family. I will skip ahead to a later on paragraph in this letter. Again,
read it already,
Pat
honey.
Riley, the attorney for the Petitos, writing Matthew Luca there on the right side of your screen for Bryan Laundrie's family, Chris and Roberta Laundrie. And I'll read this as follows. Request number 16 is certainly relevant because, again, it goes to the issue of knowledge on the part of your clients of Gabby's passing and the location of her body. This request certainly would also include the note that Roberta Laundrie wrote to Bryan Laundrie, which she offered to bring a shovel to help bury the body. This note was released to the custody of Mr. Bertolino on Friday, June 24th, 2022, by the FBI. This letter is sent in a good faith effort to resolve this continuing discovery dispute. If I do not hear from you within 10 days from the date of this letter that you will provide the documents response to the request for the production of documents, I will file a motion to compel and set this matter for hearing. Sincerely, Pat Riley. Now, this motion that he references at the end of this letter, that is already underway. And so the production of documents motion will be heard in Sarasota County Court in front of Judge Hunter W. Carroll on March 13th at 11 a.m. That is a date that is circled on our calendars. And really at the center of this is the discovery process for the documents. And this document that we are really honed in on this live stream is the document, the burn after you read letter between Roberta Laundrie and Bryan Laundrie. I know this is a lot to follow for folks that have been following this story for the last year plus.
Yeah,
you're probably able to follow along. I will try to slow things down for those of you who have just maybe you're coming back to the story for the first time since it really became, of course, a massive ordeal for people across the country and around the world about a year ago. So let's go into the responses that we have tonight. Now, I have reached out to Pat Riley for more context because he and I have had conversations about the contents of this burn after you read letter, and he has not divulged. But now we're getting this through court filing. So I have not heard from him, but I have heard from Steve Bertolino, who might be watching this live stream right now. Steve Bertolino, the Islip, New York attorney representing the Laundrie'S scene there on the right side of your screen. And of course, I reached out to him as soon as I found this court filing. And I wanted some more details.
I'm going to stop right there. I don't have the patience for this. Excuse me. I have too much to bring. I can't do this. I'm sorry. WFLA is the source if you want to listen to this. That's just too winded for my taste to not get to the point. I don't mean any disrespect, but I'm going to read you commentary. Daily Mail, UK. Yeah, I don't have that kind of time. This is from June of 2022. So this is how long this debacle has been going on. As you heard here, lawyer to lawyer filing a motion, sending over letters back February 2022. And this article was months later in the 2022. Bryan Laundrie's mother wrote him a letter where she offered to assist him and wrote, "Burn after reading this" on the envelope. Lawyer for Gabby Petito's family claims. The lawyer for Gabby Petito's parents claims that Bryan Laundrie's mother, Roberta Laundrie, offered to bake him a cake with a salt in it if he was arrested. Riley said the letter was written after Petito's death and before Laundrie committed suicide. It was found in the van the pair used while traveling. He also claimed that Roberta Laundrie had written "burn" after reading on the letter's envelope. It's a pretty interesting, pretty odd letter, Riley said. Petito's family sued Laundrie's parents, accusing them of assisting their son to flee after her murder. Riley suggested that the letter could offer proof. The lawyer claims that Bryan Laundrie's mother, Roberta Laundrie, wrote him a secret letter after he killed his fiancée, Gabby Petito, where she offered to assist him. Attorney Patrick Riley, who was representing Petito's parents in a civil suit against the family, appeared on News Nation, where he hinted that even the lawyer for Laundrie's parents, Stephen Bertolino, was surprised by the bombshell letter. Within that letter is an offer from Roberta Laundrie to assist her son, Riley said, It's a pretty interesting, pretty odd letter. Petito's parents, Joseph Petito and Nicole Schmidt, have filed a lawsuit against Christopher and Roberta Laundrie in a Florida court, accusing them of harboring Bryan and conspiring to help him flee to avoid taking responsibility for his crime. Riley suggested that the letter could offer proof. On the outside of the envelope, which was found in Petito's van when which the couple used on a cross-country road trip, Roberta Laundrie had written "burn after you read this," Riley told News Nation. Riley claims that the newly surfaced letter could help prove the Petito family's case against the Laundries. There's no date on the letter, but it appears to have been written between the time that Gabby was murdered and Bryan committed suicide. Riley said, "There are scenarios presented by Roberta. For example, if you go to jail, I'll bake a cake and put a knife in it or salt in it." This is ridiculous. He said that the evidence was gathered as part of the federal investigation into Gabby's murder. My understanding is that the letter at one point had been in the van, but then it was taken from the Laundrie home during the time when the search warrant was executed, the lawyer said. Petito was reported missing in September after she, Laundrie, embarked on a cross-country road trip. She was found strangled to death on September 19, 2021, near the Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming. She had been dead for 3 weeks. Bryan Laundrie went on the run after her body was found and was later discovered dead of a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head in October. The lawyer for Laundrie's parents recently released pages from his diary where he confessed to killing Petito and claimed that it was merciful and what she wanted. That makes no sense. Well, if she wanted it, why the fuck you didn't kill yourself? Now, I said I was going to act like a lady during this live stream. I can't. This is absolutely ridiculous. The audacity. So you can't even get the truth, even at the end when they're acting like, oh, I'm going to kill myself. This is ridiculous. Claim that it was merciful and what she wanted. Yeah, okay. Well, then why you didn't kill yourself alongside her? You can't answer that because you're now dead. This is ridiculous. The letter Roberta Laundrie allegedly wrote to her son was not part of his confession letter, and he said Bertolino seemed taken aback by its content. The surprise on his face was very interesting when he read the letter, Riley said. Riley declined to fully describe the correspondence, saying that he did not want to misquote it. He said that though he has read the letter, he does not have a copy of it, but has requested it for the purposes of the lawsuit. There was also something referenced in that letter about Gabby, and I'd rather not go into it any further At this point, the letter will speak for itself. Well, I'd like to hear the whole letter, and I would like for somebody to read it without taking an hour to get to the point. No pun intended. It was not an offer by the mom to help Bryan commit suicide, the lawyer clarified. It was an offer that had to do with Gabby, he said. Riley also told New Nation that the notebook was not only the confession that Bryan left. He said there were 2 more confessions, one on a digital device, according to the news service, and a third in written form. The lawyer had not seen those admissions, but was told about them by FBI investigators. On Friday, Bertolino released a sensational confession that Laundrie had written before he killed himself. His notebook was found in a dry bag beside his body on October 20th last year after he fled to the alligator-infested Carlton Reserve near his home in Northport, Florida. The 23-year-old wrote that he strangled his 22-year-old fiancée as a result of an unexpected tragedy in Grand Teton National Park after Petito had fallen into a creek and injured herself. At the start of the confession, he wrote a personal message to Petito that read, "I wish I could be at your side. I wish I could be talking to you right now." In self-pitying sentences written in smudged blue pen, Laundrie claimed that he battled to comfort Petito, who was deteriorating, crying in pain and shivering from constant cold. Oh my God, this is ridiculous. But eventually he killed her, writing, "I don't know the extent of Gabby's injuries, only that she was in extreme pain. I ended her life. I thought it was merciful, that is what she wanted. But I see now all the mistake that I made. I panicked. I was in shock. But from the moment I decided, took away her pain." There is no indication of how Laundrie apparently cared for Gabby before he ended her life. In a desperate bid to explain his version of events, he wrote, "I am sorry to my family. This is a shock to them as well as a terrible grief. Please do not make this harder for them. This occurred as an unexpected tragedy." It's just a bunch of BS. "I will think of laughing on the," what does it say? "On the roof of the van, falling asleep to the something crystal." He's full of shit. "She would wake in pain, start to something cycle, again, painful cycle." I'm not reading this garbage. I can barely read it. This is stupid. Let me finish this because this is nonsense. The couple were at the national park after visiting Utah on their trip west in Gabby's 2012 white Ford Transit. They were cataloging the trip on social media. Laundrie wrote his letter, "Rushing back to our car, trying to cross the Steamer Spread Creek before it got too dark to see the code. I hear a splash and a scream. I could barely see. I couldn't find her for a moment. Shouted her name. I found her breathing barely, gasping, indistinct as the ink is waterlogged. She was freezing cold. We had just come from the blazing hot national parks in Utah. The temperature had dropped to freezing and she was soaking wet. I carried her as far as I could down the stream towards the car, stumbling, exhausted, and shocked when my indistinct and I knew I couldn't safely carry her. I started a fire." Oh my God. Hold on a minute. It's jumped off. Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining me. Welcome to the vault. I have to go back in here because this article is not loading up properly. Oh, I guess he should have went to acting school. This is a great piece of work here I'm reading. Let me finish where I was. Thank you for joining me. Okay, where was I? Okay, naturally, he's explaining to his family, "I'm sorry to my family. This is a shock to them as well. It's terrible grief, blah, blah, blah. Unexpected tragedy." This thing goes on and on. As I said, the temperature had dropped to freezing. She was soaking wet. I carried her as far as I could down the stream towards the car, stumbling, exhausted and shocked when I don't know whatever he was saying. And I knew I couldn't safely carry her. I started a fire and spooned her as close to the heat. She was so thin, had already been freezing too long. I couldn't at the time realize that I should have started a fire first. but I wanted her out of the cold back to the car. From where I started the fire, I had no idea where the car might be, only knew it was across the creek. When I pulled Gabby out of the water, she couldn't tell me what hurt. She had a small bump on her forehead that eventually got larger. Her feet hurt, her wrists hurt, but she was freezing, shaking violently. While carrying her, she continually made sounds of pain. Laundrie then explained that he killed Petito, writing, laying next to her, she said little, lasping between violent shakes, gasping in pain, begging for an end to her pain. She would fall asleep, and I would shake her awake, fearing she shouldn't close her eyes and she had a concussion. She would wake in pain, start her old painful cycle again. Furious that I was the one waking her, she wouldn't let me try to cross the creek. Thought, like me, that the fire would go out in her sleep. Oh, God. He then claimed he killed Petito when it was merciful and added, I knew I couldn't go on without her. I rushed home to spend any time I had left with my family. I wanted to drive north and let James or TJ kill me, but I wouldn't want them to spend time in jail over my mistake, even though I'm sure they would have liked to. Of his own fate in the 25,000-acre swampland on Florida's west coast, he wrote, I'm ending my life not because of fear of punishment, but rather because I can't stand to live another day without her. I've lost our whole entire future together. Every moment we could have cherished. I'm sorry for everyone's loss. Please don't make life hard for my family. They lost a son and a daughter, the most wonderful girl in the world. And this is what's weird. He puts the most wonderful, parentheses, question mark, girl in the world. I'm sorry. What do you need a question mark for if indeed she's a wonderful girl? This is bullshit. It's utter bullshit nonsense. I've killed myself by this creek in the hope that animals may tear me apart, that it might make some of her family happy. Not really. As an apparent afterthought and in larger writing, he finished with the words, please pick up all my things. Gabby hated people who litter. This is the dailymail.co.uk from June 26, 2022. It is so sickening to end your life and still you can't be truthful in why you're actually killing yourself. You would think that you would go ahead and tell the truth. You're not going to be around to refute anything anyway, so just tell the damn truth. Just tell you had a disagreement with the girl and you killed her, strangled her, whatever. Didn't somebody spot a flip-flop or so outside of that van by passing by? Someone that was blogging. So this is so sickening. And why would a mother write a letter, putting on the outside of the envelope to burn afterwards? That leads one to believe that whatever she's saying inside of the letter is disastrous in commentary. Why would any mother write anyone a letter to tell the person burn it? Well, if you feel like a person needs to burn the content of a letter, maybe you should talk to them directly. Oh, he possibly couldn't talk to you directly because what? Was she still alive and he was in her presence? See, this is what I'm talking about. People who enable their children. To me, it doesn't even matter when she wrote the damn letter. She wrote the letter while the girl was living, while the girl was in her house. It's all bad because that lets us know what you thought of her. And then you're going to tell your son, oh, if you go to jail, which means you knew he did something wrong, such as murder, so he had to confess before he touched down Florida soil. It's okay, baby. Come on home. We'll take care of everything. Don't worry about it. We'll think of something. You get arrested. Mama bake your cake and put a file in it. What type of conversation is that to somebody who's obviously admitted of murdering someone? What you should be saying is you should have taken her to the hospital. That's why we know it wasn't an accident. Because why would you get arrested for somebody having an accident? So you had to confess to your mother. You can't hear me, but I'm just speaking out loud. Bryan Laundrie had to have confessed to his mother, parents, that he killed the girl, came back, spent time with them, then killed himself. So this was a last hurrah, all them sitting around in that park. So now I wonder, what did they tell the daughter, his sister? They probably felt like she would be a walkie-talkie, so they probably didn't tell her anything. I don't know. But I know these people are sick. And it was obvious they knew something because they cut off ties with the Schmidt and Petito family. blocked them on social media. So it's obvious they knew something about what happened out there. And then he writes this lame-ass letter to only go home and kill himself. Why not just tell the truth? We had a disagreement. I strangled her. I hit her, whatever, beat her up, whatever. Just tell the truth. You're never going to hear it anyway. Then you sit there talking about what people shouldn't do to your parents. Well, guess what? America did give them grief because they acted just like you. That's why you were the way you were. You're cut from the same cloth. The two dirty-ass apples. A dirty-ass tree spawned a dirty apple. This is bogus. Then you're walking around here talking about you don't want nobody suing you. You don't want the lawyer sued. Put on the lawsuit, the civil suit, because it's against lawyer-client confidentiality. Man, the fact that this letter was floating around is bad by itself. But your actions told us everything we needed to know before we even knew about this letter. I quit talking about this subject in the fall 21. So I was just tired of it. Once they found his body, I was done talking about them. So I never brought any more content pertaining to Gabby Petito. And as you see, this article was written in June. So this information has been out for some time. June 2022. It's now January 23. But nonetheless, the letter stands on its own. And Roberta, you are nasty. You're dirty. You and your husband are both disgusting, vile people. And you don't have the right to be somebody's mother or grandmother or breathing. Yeah, I said that because this goes to show why your son killed this girl. He's cut from the same cloth. He came from your womb, your dirty womb. You're nasty. So that leads me to wonder how the fuck you treated her when she was there with you. Yeah, I'm crunk right now because this is ridiculous to me. Then you're sitting here telling somebody what they should and shouldn't say. So basically, it's like you're threatening the Petito and the Schmidt family. Like, you better be careful what you're saying. And what are you going to do? Go to New York, hire a hitman? The mob's dead, honey. Roberta, I was looking at your photograph with your sunglasses and your short hair and your baseball cap. Hell, if I didn't know any better, hell, I thought you was a dude too. Walking up in that damn swamp, getting that car. You all probably knew all along he was going to kill himself. And you all are weird. Did it ever occur to you to tell your son, hey, why didn't you call 911? He should have called 911 if hypothetically she hurt herself. Why are you going to try to sit and hold somebody under a fire and they're in pain? How about getting in that van and getting to an area hospital? You got pulled over for speeding, remember? The infamous video of you all standing out there talking to the police. So you shouldn't have any problem. Shouldn't have had any problem with putting your foot to the metal to get her aid. And then you write this cocked up ass journal to tell people don't bother your family and I know they want to hurt me and would want me dead, so that's why I hope the animals eat me. Well, from my understanding, the animals did eat you. I know this sounds mean what I'm saying, but this is ridiculous. That even after death, you're still causing more harm. This is when you should have been honest. Was in death. Hey, I wronged her. Hey, we had a tumultuous relationship. I loved her, but I didn't treat her well, or we didn't treat each other well. However, just be truthful. But see, this is what's wrong with the world. We have people aiding their friends, their family, their children. And this is why people are walking around hurting people, murdering people, because they've got a support system that's going to enable them after the fact. I've seen some commentary even in the chat. Oh, I still would support my daughter, my son. Well, go ahead. That's your business. But don't expect people to ride the ride with you because you want to support your killer son or killer daughter. That's your business. But there's no way I'm going to support nobody just maliciously kill somebody for no damn reason. Roberta Laundrie, you're another Mrs. Watts. Did you hear that? Another Mrs. Watts. I don't care what you did. I still love you. Who says that to their son and they butchered their entire family? And it didn't occur to you that if a person would butcher their own wife and kids and the mother was pregnant, hell, he would kill you. What is it you don't understand about that? Oh, I forgot. You're different. Excuse me. He would never kill me. He loves me. I'm his mother. I'm his father. He would never kill us. We have been supporting him, blah, blah, blah. Well, let's think about that for a second. There couldn't be too much love that a man would go out here and abuse a woman. That means possibly he doesn't like women. So what kind of love would he have for you as a mom? Mommy dearest. Yes, I'm a bit dramatic this evening. I was a little bit hesitant with the lawsuit because I felt like maybe it would be hard to prove them aiding their son. But I had not followed through with the content the past year or so. So I stand corrected. Now I see why they're suing them. The lawyer and the Laundrie'S. They've got this smoking gun. Literally. Smoking piece of paper. So as I have said before, their actions prove to me they never cared for the girl when she was alive. Because that's an old saying. How you're treated in death shows what people thought of you in life. Ding. You don't have respect for the dead, then that means you didn't really care for them when they were living. You thought ill of them when they were alive. And most people know this. And it may be shameful to even say, well, yeah, I really didn't care for him or her when they were living. No, I really didn't like her or him. Sorry. Well, that's what you told the world when you cut off her parents and they were trying to contact you. You blocked them on social media. You wouldn't take their phone calls. You were telling the world you never really cared for their daughter. Oops, don't use adjectives, Angela. You never cared for Gabby Petito when she was alive. And you aided your son all the way back to Florida in her van, her credit card, didn't give a damn, making s'mores, and then he went off into the sunset and killed himself. And I believe you knew that he was going to kill himself. You all are disgusting. And I know you ain't got a pot to piss in down there in Florida. You're sitting there spending all that damn money for a one-level track house. But I'd make sure you wouldn't have nothing. No Social Security, nothing. Not even enough money to afford a cheap trailer park in Alabama or Mississippi. Wouldn't care if all you ate were beanie weenies every day. Hell, dog food. And I'm sure dog food and cat food's expensive. I wouldn't care. Because you're sick. And the way you behaved when that girl was missing, we later found out she was deceased. You showed no respect for her and you showed no respect to her parents. And if that had been your son out there missing, you would have raised holy hell. And yet you all walked around, jumping in your car, going here and there, trying to act like people weren't out there protesting and hollering and screaming. And I wasn't in agreement with the people out there raising hell because they were disturbing the peace and disturbing the other neighbors. But you all are dirty. Dirty Roberta, dirty husband. And if the daughter has any sense, I wouldn't have anything to do with none of you. And you wouldn't be around my children. Because how do you explain that to somebody? That you wrote a letter to your own child talking about putting a knife or axe or whatever inside of a damn cake. That's not even anything to joke about. Hey, I'll send you something, put it in the cake. So imagine had that ever got out and he was arrested, you wouldn't even be able to visit him. They wouldn't even let you visit him because they say, well, we don't know if she's serious or not. She can't come in here and visit him. Even though they're going to pat you down, put you through a machine, but it's just principle. Who jokes like that after a person has murdered another human being? You all did. Just sick. Prayers to the Petito Schmidt family. Praying for a positive outcome. These people are never going to have any rest. Rather, they continue with this lawsuit. The lawsuit isn't won, the civil suit against them or the lawyer, both. They also feel like they shouldn't be sued. The lawyer shouldn't be brought into the lawsuit. But you all have had knowledge that this man killed this woman. Now, naturally, the law says you are at fault in wrongdoing if you knew that your friend, family were about to kill somebody and you didn't tell. Then you can be brought up on charges. But this was after the fact, all this letter writing, swapping, I'm assuming, after the deed was already done pertaining to Gabby Petito. It's very sad. Very, very sad. Odd letter is putting it mildly. WFLA is the second source pertaining to the dirty Laundrie'S. Thank you for joining me. Yeah, I wouldn't want them in my house either. That's what I'm trying to explain to people. You're sitting here aiding a killer. What makes you think that you would be exempt from being on the chopping block? You can't be that gullible to have a child that's a murderer, especially somebody such as this mess with this Kohberger. There's no way you can sit here and think this person wouldn't cut your throat in your sleep. If you think that they wouldn't kill you, you are a fool. You are an absolute fool. Second source, WFLA, News 8, pertaining to the lawyer being sued by the Petito Schmidt family. Bryan Laundrie's parents filed lawsuit response claiming their attorney knows more than they do about Gabby Petito case. A lawyer for Bryan Laundrie's parents has filed a defense against the motion to add their longtime family attorney, Stephen Bertolino, as a co-defendant to the lawsuit filed against them by Gabby Petito's parents. So they want to add him. Is that what they're saying? Pitting the Laundrie'S and Mr. Bertolino as co-defendants undoubtedly creates a conflict because both have interest in defending themselves to the potential detriment of the other. The response reads, the Laundrie'S should be able to defend this case without worrying whether their attorney will take an antagonistic position against them. The plaintiffs must choose to either proceed against the Laundrie'S or Mr. Bertolino because they cannot both be liable. In a statement to WFLA.com, Bertolino highlighted the importance of attorney-client privilege. One should expect that attorneys are confided in, said Bertolino. That's why our system affords clients privileged communications and lawyers certain immunities. Exactly how much Chris and Roberta Laundrie knew in the aftermath of their son's murder of Petito is at the center of the lawsuit filed by Petito's parents, Joe Petito and Nicole Schmidt. The lawsuit alleges that the Laundrie'S are responsible for intentional infliction of emotional distress against Petito and Schmidt for allegedly knowing of their daughter's murder and doing nothing other than have Bertolino release a statement expressing hope that Petito would be found. For the first time, the Laundrie'S in the response filed Tuesday claim they don't have as much information on the entire situation as Bertolino, who acted as Bryan's attorney before he died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound last year. Mr. Bertolino's knowledge is certainly far more than the Laundrie's parents, the response reads. Yet he cannot disclose what he knows or the reasons why he took certain actions because even after Bryan Laundrie's death, Mr. Bertolino still owes a duty of confidentiality to Bryan Laundrie. Earlier this year, Judge Hunter W. Carroll ruled against the Laundrie's motion to dismiss the lawsuit. Carroll also denied a motion to limit the scope of the Laundrie's depositions, which are now scheduled for January. The motion on whether to add Bertolino as a co-defendant to Petito and Schmidt's lawsuit against the Laundrie'S will be heard by Judge Carroll on January 24th. So near the end of the month, a judge will hear this case. News 8 is the source, WFLA. What a mess. What a mess. Well, we will see what happens. And yes, it's true. A lawyer has the right to hold whatever you tell him in confidentiality, or she. But the interesting part about the story is, why would you still be having dealings with this lawyer if allegedly he was for Bryan? Bryan killed himself early on. So what I'm trying to understand is if indeed you knew that your son murdered himself, never told it, never told the family that Gabby was murdered by your son, why would you need to be dealing with this lawyer if indeed the lawyer was hired for your son? Because if you knew your son was dead, then what would the relationship be between this lawyer and a dead man? I'm just saying. And I understand he still doesn't have to repeat anything, even if he knew Bryan was dead. But I'm trying to understand what is your involvement in dealing with the lawyer, but allegedly he was hired for Bryan. But aren't you paying him, and weren't you paying him? Didn't you hire him initially before Bryan killed himself? And yet you still were dealing with him while your son was lying chopped up in the swamp, ate up. You still dealt with him as if he was your attorney. So that's where I'm confused. And once again, why would a dead man need an attorney? Because I got a feeling you knew he was dead in that swamp. You knew he killed Gabby. I think he told you before he came home. You all had your last hoorah at that park. He went off into the sunset later to kill himself. You knew all of that. And you still kept dealing with this lawyer for some reason, which is strange to me. And I think at some point, all of you knew that he was not alive. He wasn't in Mexico. He wasn't in North Carolina. He wasn't in Canada. He was dead. Possibly, yes. Already called on the line. Exactly. Before he even touched down the Florida soil. WFLA is the source. My second commentary is pertaining to Idaho 4. He has been moved from the county jail and making his way back to Idaho, Mr. Kohberger. I'm going to play you audio from that other traffic stop. But first, I'm going to bring you information pertaining to his transition while in air to the Pacific Northwest. Thank you for joining me. Inside Edition is the source.
Trial. He was taken out of the county jail in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania at 6:19 a.m. and was driven by police escort 45 miles to the airport in Scranton. The Idaho state plane carrying Kohberger stopped to refuel in Champaign, Illinois, before continuing its 2,500-mile journey west.
Wow.
His final destination here, the Pullman-Moscow Airport, a small regional facility in Washington near the Idaho border. Next stop, the Latah County Jail, just 6 miles away. It's a basement jail housing just 37 inmates.
He'll be housed in a separate cell. We'll have some extra security. That's what a lot of the questions are. We want to make sure we do it right. You can talk on the phone to family members and stuff like that.
Oh, so he'll get to talk.
Body cam video showing Kohberger driving his white Elantra cross country with his father. The date, December 15th, a month after the murders. The location, I-70. A police officer has pulled the car over for tailgating. His father, Michael, says they're tired from their journey.
We're trying to be flexible. We drive for hours, days.
They tell him they're coming from Washington State University.
So y'all work at the university there? Actually, we work there.
Okay. Just 10 minutes later, state trooper pulls the car over for a second time. Look, those are Washington State plates. Kohberger allegedly switched them from Pennsylvania plates just 5 days after the murders. Inside the car, you can see Kohberger. And look, is that a bruise or cut on his wrist? You can see his father, Michael, is using the GPS on his cell phone as they make their way back to Pennsylvania. Kohberger is expected to mount a vigorous defense. And the mother of slain Kaylee Gonsalves appeared on Fox last night, calling for the ultimate penalty if Kohberger is convicted.
Considering that this person went in there that night with the intent to kill and showed no mercy, we are glad that we live in the state of Idaho with the death penalty.
Inside Edition, 2 traffic stops What I find interesting is that they're discussing Washington State. What does Washington have to do with anything? Why do you have to say where you're coming from? Who works where? Who's a teacher? They're both chiming in together. Same conversation they're talking about a shooting that took place somewhere. It's like, what the hell is going on here, this tag team conversation? Just utter nonsense to me. Crim 2 News is the source. Idaho murder suspect Bryan Kohberger talks WSU Thai food and first traffic stop in Indiana. Thank you for joining me. Welcome to the vault, everybody. Just a second. Sitting here talking about somebody shooting, but you're riding with a killer allegedly and you don't know. Imagine that.
Recording.
Hello, how you doing? How y'all doing today? Good, good. Take a look at your driver's license real quick if I could. See, he's right up on that van, man. He was right up on the back end of that van. Pulled you over for tailgating. Is this your car? Okay, cool. Where are you headed? Well, we come up from WSU. And, what's WSU? So we're okay. I'm having a hard time hearing you because of the traffic. So you're coming from Washington State University, and you're going where? Oh, you're going to be going to Pennsylvania. Oh, okay. Yeah, we're slightly flexible, right? Hours, days. Right. Well, yeah. Okay. And what did you say about some SWAT team thing? Or yeah, there was a bad shooting and everything.
Exactly.
Where? Interesting. Well, it's horrifying.
You hardly hear with those cars passing by on the interstate.
Work at the university there? I actually do work there. Oh.
Janice, please.
Okay.
I'm trying not to laugh. It's sickening. But this is what goes on in the world. You're laughing and talking with people who don't know what they've done.
Interesting. Wow. But do me a favor, don't follow too close, okay?
What does the shooting have to do with you trailing a truck? So was he calm there? Did he have a wound on his right wrist? If it was a long blade, which is suspected, I would see it going down his wrist and arm. Because the blade's long. Very interesting information. So I was trying to see in another content if indeed he had a wound. I was trying to pay attention. Close attention if I could. Off Home says, look how angry he looks, frowning. He just has an ugly look. What about his body language? I'm going to play something else by Law and Crime, and then we're going to go to the body language. And feel free to hit the link to come up, talk to the queen, and give me your opinion pertaining to dirty Roberta, husband, them aiding their son. He's long gone now. Miss Petito, long gone. But the Petito Schmidt family are suing them in a civil suit. Also, their lawyer, Bertolino. Naturally, they don't feel like that's fair. But life isn't fair, is it? Accused student murderer Bryan Kohberger received vegan meals private flight back. Law and Crime Network is the source. Thank you for joining me. He's a rock star now. Can't wait to see who starts writing him love letters. Imagine that.
Bryan Christopher Kohberger is on his way to Idaho just hours after waiving extradition in a Pennsylvania courtroom. Sources close to Law and Crime Network say the accused killer is taking a private flight across the country, returning to the very county where the gruesome murders were committed. Once he lands, Kohberger will be booked in the Latah County Jail in Moscow, Idaho. The jail can hold up to 39 inmates, but right now holds only 23. Kohberger will make 24, though the accused murderer will be secluded from the rest of the inmate population. Kohberger will also apparently be provided specific food to satisfy his vegan diet. The jail cells are in the basement of the Latah County Courthouse, where Kohberger is expected to make his initial appearance. After Kohberger appears in Latah County Court, a now sealed affidavit is expected to be unsealed. It's then that we will likely learn more about the murder investigation, what led up to Kohberger's arrest, and potentially even a motive in the crime. Law and Crime Network will continue to follow this high-profile case as it develops and bring you the latest information as it comes in. Reporting for Law and Crime Network, I'm Sierra Gillespie.
All right. Flew back. What in the world is going on? Let's see what they got for 20 minutes ago. Hold on, you guys.
Tonight, our team is sharing the latest on what we can expect once he arrives back in Idaho. We've got new body camera footage that details more on 2 traffic stops that happened during Kohberger's trip from Idaho, proposedly to Pennsylvania. Janelle Finch talked with students on the Palouse about how they are feeling about the suspect's arrival, along with our Shannon Mowdy getting attorney's perspective on this case. First, though, our Amanda Rowley is in Moscow tonight with what we know about the suspect's arrival at this hour. So from the moment that suspect was taken into custody in Pennsylvania, Crime 2 has been tracking his transport back to Idaho to face charges. So here is what we know at this hour. Take a look. This is a flight tracker that is showing a Pennsylvania State Police aircraft that took off earlier this morning, steadily making its way across the country toward Idaho. It has already made stops in Illinois and South Dakota throughout the day. You can see right now it is in Wyoming or close to it. We have had a crew waiting outside at the Latah County Jail since early this morning, awaiting that suspect's arrival. Crime 2's Amanda Rowley is joining us live from the jail right now. She's explaining what we can expect after Bryan Kohberger is booked into jail. Amanda? Well, good evening, Whitney. As you mentioned, just over 24 hours ago, the Moscow murder suspect waived his extradition hearing in Monroe County, Pennsylvania, and is now en route to Idaho. As you mentioned, he is now flying over Wyoming, and we're continuing to track the whereabouts of the suspect. Once he arrives here in Idaho, we expect he'll be brought here to Latah County Jail and taken into where that gray garage door is by law enforcement to then begin the booking process. I've been here waiting for his arrival since early this afternoon, and right next to me, I'm surrounded by several other media outlets, all waiting on the same thing. Now, right now, what we do know is that once Bryan Kohberger arrives at the Latah County Jail, his booking information and mugshot will be posted on the jail's website. When that happens, he will formally be charged with 4 counts of murder and 1 count of burglary, according to the Latah County prosecutor. That prosecutor, Bill Thompson, previously explained what we can expect in upcoming court proceedings.
Once he gets here, he'll have an initial appearance with our magistrate. They'll deal with issues such as making sure competent counsel is representing him, and the case will be scheduled for further hearings.
Now, we do also know that the magistrate judge, Megan Marshall, presides over the county's initial appearance docket. So what that means is as long as Kohberger gets booked into Latah County Jail today, he should be in court for his initial appearance tomorrow morning. Now, in that hearing, he will be informed of his charges, but he does not have to enter a plea. During that hearing, they will also schedule the preliminary hearing, which is the next step in this proceeding. Now, looking ahead, we are expecting to learn more details about Kohberger's arrest once the search warrant has been returned to the court and unsealed. It's been sealed since it's been executed at the crime scene. Now, we also know that meantime, the magistrate judge yesterday issued an order that's called a non-dissemination order, and that means investigators, law enforcement, and attorneys associated with this investigation are now prohibited from speaking with the media about this case any further. That is until that order is lifted. We are staying in close contact with law enforcement, gathering any updates that they can share once that order has gotten lifted. For now, we'll remain watchful eyes here on the jail, but for now, we'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
Where are you headed? Well, we come from WSU. And you're going where? I'm going to be going to Pennsylvania. Oh, okay.
So we are continuing to track the suspect's arrival currently. We now have new body cam footage of a traffic stop in Indiana after receiving several videos yesterday from a different traffic stop. These are all of Kohberger's vehicle during his trip from Washington to Pennsylvania. Our Mark Hanrahan is in the newsroom tonight here, or actually in the studio here with us, about what we know about those traffic stop videos. Hi, Mark.
Hi, good afternoon, Whitney. Yesterday we showed you a video from an Indiana state trooper who stopped Kohberger for following too closely. Well, tonight we are seeing more body camera footage from a different stop that, as it turns out, happened just before, also in Indiana. In the video, you can see a deputy with the Hancock County Sheriff's Office approach the white Elantra, similar to the one that investigators have been searching for. The deputy then says Kohberger and his father were pulled over for following too closely. But something to note about this video is the date and time, December 15th, and it starts at 10:41 a.m. This new video was the first traffic stop of that day. Kohberger was also stopped just 9 minutes later at 10:50 a.m. by an Indiana State Police trooper, again, also for allegedly following too closely. These two stops on December 15th happened about 8 days after the Moscow Police Department started asking the public for information about a white Elantra spotted near the crime scene. For their part, the Indiana State Police told us yesterday that at the time, the trooper had no information about the crime or a search for a car in connection with the Idaho case. So with Kohberger behind the wheel, you can actually hear him bring up a SWAT standoff in Pullman that happened earlier that same morning.
Yeah, I hadn't heard about that incident. Just yesterday, or?
This happened this morning. About an hour and a half ago, the school wrapping up. I'm not sure the school shooters, but they did shoot somebody.
That's it.
And then didn't know about that actually.
Well, interesting.
So of note, it appears that Kohberger was not ticketed for both traffic stops. So to recap, murder suspect Bryan Kohberger was stopped twice in 9 minutes while he was in Indiana as he drove across the country roughly 2 weeks before he was arrested. If you'd like to watch both of those body camera videos in their entirety, you can just head to our website, krem.com. Whitney?
Thank you very much. And just as Kohberger is arriving in Idaho, students at the University of Idaho will also be arriving back from the holiday break. Our Janelle Finch went down to Moscow today to speak with some of those students, getting their reactions to this investigation and the new developments of the suspect's imminent arrival there back on the Palouse. Janelle, what are people saying there on campus today?
Whitney, I spoke to at least 15 students on campus today, and while most wouldn't go on camera, off camera, they tell me they're relieved with this development. They say they feel better about coming back to campus with potentially more answers than when they left. When 4 University of Idaho students were murdered last November, campus was immediately affected. From canceled classes to students going home early for the semester, students ended the year unsure of what they'd be coming back to. But just as Moscow police say the arrest of Bryan Kohberger launched a new beginning of the investigation, people at UFLA are also hoping for a fresh start in the upcoming semester. Seth Seipel is returning to campus after a semester abroad. Despite being hundreds of thousands of miles away, he says even he couldn't escape the news.
Having something like that happen to where I even heard about it from my school abroad. I mean, it's a big deal, and I couldn't imagine what people actually living on campus are going through. But having this wrap up before the next semester begins, I think, is a really good transition and turning point for everyone here. They're ready to start the beginning of this semester.
You all are killing me.
Seipel says in light of the tragic events that occurred while he was away, he says he was inspired by how campus came together to support one another and are continuing to lean on each other as the case develops. He says he's looking forward to finishing out his final semester on campus. University of Idaho students are set to return after winter break 1 week from today. And even though some are feeling relieved with the information of Kohberger's arrest, for others, that doesn't erase the feelings felt when 4 students were initially murdered just steps from campus. One Vandal mom I spoke to says her daughter's mental health was completely shattered and she won't be returning for the semester. And she may not even be back on campus until next fall. In Moscow, Janelle Finch, KREM 2 News.
All right, Janelle, thank you very much. And the strides being made in this case come as the community continues to remember those 4 University of Idaho students whose lives were lost. Those 4 students were 20-year-old Ethan Chapin. He was a freshman from Conway, Washington, over on the west side. Xana Kernodle, she was a junior from Post Falls. 21-year-old Madison Mogan, a senior from Coeur d'Alene. Xana and Madison worked together at a restaurant in downtown Moscow. And 21-year-old Kaylee Gonsalves was a senior from Rathdrum. She was a sorority member and already had a job lined up for after graduation. Just a month ago, a vigil was held for those victims where the parents all spoke about their love that they had for their children.
The world is a darker place without them, but the light of their love and memories will always guide us all. Maddie has truly been a blessing in our lives. Watching her grow and mature into the amazing woman she become is truly priceless in our hearts.
Xana, you will not be forgotten. You have impacted so many lives and have given people so much love. I hope I can make you proud and try to leave an impact on this world and on people like you did.
If you knew Ethan, he was never angry about anything. He would never get upset. You couldn't upset him ever.
We're just heartbroken, and we know it's just going to take time for everybody to heal. If that's possible. I just pray that it is.
So we know this continues to be a developing story, and of course we will bring you updates as we continue to learn more. For all of our ongoing coverage, though, on this story, you can just text us the word Idaho to 509-448-2000, and we'll send that link right to your phone. We will have more on this story, but now we want to take a quick break from the headlines and check in on the forecast. We could see a little bit of a wintry...
All right. KREM 2 News is the source. Pretty good commentary there. Pretty good. I will post this to my community board in case anybody wants to go back in and re-listen to the information. All information has a source inside of this live stream. Thank you for joining me. You are listening to The Vault. Happy New Year to the viewing audience. Welcome all new subs. People just dropping by, ear hustling. Thank you for tuning in. I say by now he's probably touched down. They want to keep it a wrap. Gag order issued. Nobody can speak about this arrest until he goes to court. Then they will start revealing everything in the arrest, what he's charged with, possible motive, any connection to the victims. They also are trying to protect the witnesses in this case. As far as this diet thing, you already know I'm about to go ham on that. Literally, ham. Who the fuck is Kohberger to get any special privileges? Now, it was one thing, Pennsylvania jail catering to this vegan diet. I don't really care because we already know that when you go to jail, you chose to carry your butt in there. So therefore, whatever they feed you, give you, hey, it is what it is. peanut butter for lunch, tuna sandwich for dinner, it's jail. It's not the Ritz-Carlton. You know, this is the 1960s New York, and you're in the mob, and you've got people to bring in special, you know, salami and lasagna to you and cater to you. Hello, 2023 modern day. So there should be no catering to anything. The only time you should be catered to in jail is if you are diabetic or you have a heart problem, you need eyeglasses, something like that. But anything else, hell to the no. You a vegan? Oh, well, chew on your paw. You got enough feet and hands, chew on your fucking hands and feet. I could care less. It's not a part of any type of mistreatment or unusual, strange or unusual or cruel punishment because you ate peanut butter today and you didn't want it. Oh, well, you should have thought about not killing those kids. How about that? Who told you to go kill those kids? Nobody. And I almost missed that joke in the chat about the pots and pans. I thought, pots and pans? What are you talking about? Then I caught it. You all are killing me. And what's more sick is this daddy daycare drive. Who brings up somebody shooting somebody and you just hacked up 4 people? Are you all hearing this? You know, hey, is this supposed to be like thick as thieves type mantra? 2 thieves can chop it up and talk about why it was wrong for another thief to steal. So I just hacked up 4 people. I can talk and say he shouldn't have shot anybody. And then you hear the father saying, how horrific. Oh no, we got one better than that, Daddy. You're sitting next to a quadruple killer. I believe he could top the shooter, whoever they were speaking about. How about that? I do believe your son can top any breaking news story at the moment. Missing or deceased. What did they talk about on this ride, on this daddy daycare from Washington State to Pennsylvania? Where did they stop to eat? What did they talk about? Did they sleep? Did they go get a motel? What did these 2 people talk about? I'd like to know what is going through the mind of the father right now. We know the mom and sister were hooping it up in the courtroom crying. So, Daddy, how do you feel knowing that you just rode a long-ass ride, 40-something hours with a killer? And you're sitting here talking about how horrific it is somebody got shot. Oh, believe me, Bryan can top that all damn day. Look, Daddy, no hands. No hands, Daddy. What the hell? Well, allegedly, he registered those tags 5 days after killing the kids, Brittany. Not on the road. The tags were bought while still working and attending classes at Washington State University. Yes, we will see if he's killed other people. Now, won't that be a shocker? This is not his first rodeo. So has he killed other people? First time out the gate? 4 for 4? What are we talking? These people had to have known they were dealing with a walking time bomb because who knows you better than your own parents? You raised them, you've seen them happy, sad, mad. You know you had a little time bomb walking around. Well, a big time bomb because he's kind of tall. And let me tell you something else I noticed too. I believe it was yesterday watching footage of him going back and forth in that jail. They kept showing it over and over about making me sick to my stomach too. Hey, Daddy's got man boobs. The mother and daughter get out of the car, covered up, mask, trying to hide themselves. And then I see this big, tall guy walking. And I said, oh, that must be the father. Woo, he's a big guy. He's a big-ass monster, too. With boobs. 2 men with man boobs. Put that on paper. I could be very nasty in this live stream. I'm trying my best to be halfway decent. It's just hard tonight. Especially talking about Roberta Laundrie. That case just got me crunk. Yeah, both got man boobs. He was teased as a child, a young person, teenager. And then it dawned on me looking at him walk, look at his shirt. I said, something's not right with Bryan. What is it? And then it hit me. Damn, Queen, he's got boobs. And then the daddy is walking behind the mother. I'm assuming that's the father. I'll stand corrected if that wasn't him, walking into the courtroom. And I said, who's this big guy here? And then I said, oh my Jesus, that's his daddy. Daddy's got boobs too. And then there's a picture of Bryan that they're showing in this commentary. Please check it out. Cram 2 News. It's posted to my community board. They showed this one picture of him. If I didn't know any better, I thought I was looking at a girl. Shut up, Angela. Yeah, I'll be your worst nightmare up here. Yeah, Frankenstein. You got that right. 2 Frankensteins. And I don't mean to be mean to the father, because possibly he has no knowledge that his child is a murderer. The mother don't have knowledge. But I don't like that stinky ass statement they gave concerning the victims' families. Sending their condolences, but then saying they're supporting their son, a presumption of innocence. Nobody wants to hear about any of that. Nobody wants to hear anything about presumption of innocence. We know the law. We know you're presumed innocent. We know that you can make a mistake gathering evidence. We know that there could be cross-contamination in the lab, blah, 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 blah. But I don't feel like there was a mistake made at any lab pertaining to your dusty-ass son. And you pretending like there's no DNA. You should know they've double-checked his DNA. Because one, they did the ancestry DNA. Then they led to the white car. Then they got a name. Then they followed him. Then they retrieved DNA, probably from a cup, sandwich wrapper, something he threw away in the garbage. Then when they arrested him, you know damn well they took DNA. So mama missed me with this erroneous assumptions. What's erroneous are 4 people who had a life ahead of them. They're dead. I think Ethan will be considered the youngest of the crew, just getting his life started. He was a triplet. Do you know what that's like? To now have your brother gone, you shared a womb with him. You and your other sibling. What is it, 2 boys and a girl? Now they're missing a brother. That has to be very hard on the siblings and the parents. The other parents are missing their children. Somebody's missing their sister, their daughter, their friend. All type of innuendos, narratives, lies spun about people that knew them, dated them. Jack. Oh, got that name wrong. Try Bryan. Deborah, please, you're killing me. Yes, Big Bird. Don't try Bird, try Big Bird. Just a big, lanky-ass lump of flesh. Snuffed out 4 kids who had their whole world ahead of them. There's no telling how far in life those kids could have gone. I was thinking about Kaylee. I was thinking, wow, she had a job. She got a new car. Little did she know, she was taking her last breath at that damn grub bus. That's something to think about when you watch video of people before death. That's why I don't really like watching content about people and then you find out they're dead a day later or 2, or they're missing. It's hard looking at the content. And that's probably why it bothered me when everybody kept going on and on about that damn grub bus video. It's like, don't you get it? This is it. This is the last moment that people could see them walking and talking, and you're sitting up here making up all these wild ass stories about who killed them and who was there and who was acting strange. And now none of those people have been arrested. So how do you feel now? So what videos are you all making now? Yeah, I'm throwing daggers at everybody tonight because it's time for some of y'all to get a fucking ass whooping. You're just disrespectful. You got to know when to lay off certain things. Like tonight. This is my first time being crunk in a long time. Because I've tried to be very respectful in my content pertaining to the kids. But I don't have to now because Big Bird has been arrested. What are you all going to do now? You weren't about giving him a special meal. You know, went from Pennsylvania, catering him, flying him. Who's going to pay for that air ride? Oh, the great citizens of Pennsylvania. And then what? Mouse Scouts got to pay that money back. See, nobody's thinking about any of that. Who's going to pay for that nice flight across the United States. And the first thing I thought of with that plane ride, God, what if it goes down? Another innocent person to be dead because of Big Burger. Yeah, I said it. Big Burger. Plane goes down in flames. He never stands trial. But, far as I know, no plane wreck. Well, Debbie, I'm sure they won't. That's less to feed. But he still needs a lot of vegetables. He's a big guy. But I don't believe in this special treatment. So I am not in agreement with Pennsylvania jail doing it, nor Latah, however you pronounce it, county. You all know better. You have no right giving him no special privileges for nothing. Oh, didn't you let us know the sheriff that was speaking in this audio? Oh, he gets to make phone calls. Well, he likes to talk. Maybe he'll slip up and tell on himself. Nothing like a good old confession to play in court. Big Bird told on himself. This is ridiculous. Special treatment for this big-ass ape. What you should be doing is asking him what size bra does he wear. How about that? Hey, Bryan, I know they made fun of you in high school, but what size bra do you wear? Queen's curious. Maybe I can send some of my bras that I don't need. Somebody just forward the address and put it in the chat. I'll send my old bras out there to Idaho jail. Let me guess, are you going to let him mingle or he's going to be in a cell all by himself? Suicide watch still? Janice, be nice now. Let's not be mean to the father, God. We don't want to be too nasty just yet because I have been very favorable in my commentary pertaining to this case. But now that Big Bird's down for the landing, I don't have to play nice now. Yes, he's presumed innocent. I've heard that for the past 2 days or so. I don't care. I don't care about Big Bird and a bra. I won't doubt he's been wearing panties this entire time. Yeah, I'm ignorant tonight. Because I've played fair the entire case. So this time I want to be a little jiggy. Off home, please, you're killing me. But seriously, this is ridiculous. This diet stuff. You know, this shows you how crazy people are that's walking around beside you. This man has traveled all the way across the country, flew over there to be with his son. They're going back, traffic stops one after the other, and they're sitting here talking about who shot JR, and you're sitting here talking with a mass murderer. I just want you to think about that for a second. A matter of fact, said Queen, a vegan eating quadruple homicide killer. Yeah, I say so, J-Lo. You're sitting here with Big Bird that wears a bra and panties, just killed 4 people, hacked them up, registered his car like, hey, I'm going to still here to go to school and everything. And you're sitting there talking about who shot damn JR. Dad, oh, can you believe? Oh, my God. They were shooting and blah, blah, blah. And the state trooper's like, oh, really? Oh, okay. It's like fucking Young and the Restless. Well, Deborah, guess what? He can catch another charge while he's in there. Won't bother me none. We'll pray for the other inmates. How about that? We'll pray for the other inmates. He got one when he got Ethan, who's a man. Let's see if he wants to go toe-to-toe with those other bad boys in there. Knock himself out. Yeah, Daddy had boobs. I saw him walking and I looked and I said, oh my God, he's got man boobs. I said, yes, so that's what you thought about Bryan for some reason. I said that to myself, looking at his build, the way he stands upright in his pictures. I kept saying there's something wrong with these pictures. And my mind was telling me he's got boobs. And then when I saw the father walking into the courthouse, I said, oh my God, they both got them. Big bird times 2. Excuse my language. But I'm not going to be nasty toward the parents. But as I said, I don't like the commentary they gave to the victims' families, because you don't send condolences and then talk about enabling your son and supporting your son. You either send your condolences and be done with it. But you don't talk about your child in the same sentence with the victims. You don't do that. It's disrespectful. Very disrespectful. You've heard audio of the traffic stop, Indiana, 2 times. I brought you information pertaining to what's going to happen to him once he touches down. They get him settled in. Gag order has been issued until he goes to court and get his rights read and, you know, all that type of stuff they have to go through, reading him the charges, blah, blah, blah. What a mess. Since nobody wants to hit the link, an hour and 20 minutes in, we're going to discuss his body language. What does his body language say to the general public? The shooting, I find it odd he didn't hear about the stabbing. Well, Brittany, I'm sure he heard about the stabbing. What's the subject is, has he talked about the stabbing with his son, vice versa? Did the son ever bring it up? So let's ask that question. Bryan, did you bring up the subject to your parents that there were 4 people stabbed brutally in Moscow, Idaho, 15 minutes from your location? Did you call mommy and daddy and say, something's terrible happened out here? Oh my gosh. 4 kids were brutally stabbed, and left out the part that you killed the kids? I'd like to know that. Because you know they had to have brought it up to him or vice versa. So who brought up the subject of the 4 kids being killed? I'd like to know. Anybody in the chat would like to join the queen? I don't want to sit up here and just talk endlessly. I do have things to do, you know. Today is a great movie night for the queen. Please check out my community board for the movie suggestions for the week. Number 2 is Till Death. Very good movie. Some of you ladies need to watch that. Might make you think twice about the guy you are dating or married to. Thank you for joining me. Very sick information. Till Death is now playing on Netflix. My second movie suggestion for the week. Now I have to find my first suggestion. I put so much up here, I can't keep up with everything. It'll come to me. Was Bryan Kohberger born or made a killer? 2 days ago, 34% said born, 47% said made, 19% not sure. Do you think that is Bryan Kohberger's voice speaking on that video allegedly happened the night of the murders? 54% said yes, no, 10% not sure, 37%. Do you think past bullying led Bryan Kohberger to murder? 36% said yes, 46% said no, 18% not sure. If Bryan Kohberger had not been apprehended, do you think he would have killed again? 94% of you said yes. 1% said no, 5% not sure. Do you think Bryan Kohberger has killed before? 58% yes, 16% no, 26% not sure. Should state of Idaho recommend the death penalty for Bryan Kohberger? Yes, 96%. 96% yes, no, 4%. Let's look at the 2 who decided to comment. My sister's keeper said, honestly, I feel he should be left in a cage until he has a mental break. He broke a lot of family and friends. Now it's his turn to break. Death is too good for him. There is a place in hell for him waiting. Clap your hands. My perspective. Kat says no. Well, Kat, hopefully you won't ever get the luxury of having one of your family members hacked up in their bed. You might change your mind. Just saying. Did Bryan Kohberger tell his dad, mom, what he did? Both 37%. Mom, 7%. Dad, 56%. That's a pretty good number. 56% of you all think he did tell his father. Imagine that. And they're riding down the highway playing this Daddy Dearest game. And he knows his son hacked up 4 kids. Wow, interesting. Did Bryan Kohberger kill the students alone? 78% said yes, 7% said no, 16% said not sure. Behind Her Eyes is Movie of the Week, now playing on Netflix. Both suggestions are now playing on Netflix if you would like to enjoy them, or you possibly can pay for them separately through the YouTube movie app. Behind Her Eyes is a limited episode, about 6 episodes. Very good, very intriguing. The ending will kind of blow your mind. Please check it out if you have time to sit and watch about 6 episodes. Thank you for joining me. You are now listening to The Vault. I feel like maybe nothing was talked about and was awkward with them. Explain yourself, J. Luck. What do you mean? Awkward how? Toy, we're going to hopefully find out about the plane ticket. Because what you all have to understand is that the kids were killed on the 13th of November. 5 days later, on the 18th, he changed tags over to Washington tags. So that means he was still in Washington State to finish his courses, live, work, up until Daddy Dearest came over on a plane and they drove back to Pennsylvania. The footage from those videos, body footage from state troopers and sheriff, is dated December 15th. So the kids were killed on the 13th. That's 1 month and 2 days. So that means he stayed behind. So that's why I made the live yesterday. Do you think he had plans to leave for good? Because he didn't pack up his things, his apartment. He registered his car 5 days after killing the kids. So that shows he was going to stay. He's going to stay behind. 5 days he registered his car with the Washington Drivers Bureau. So he was feeling cocky. That's really the title I wanted to put on the video. Instead, he was feeling cocky. That's why he registered the car 5 days. I ain't going nowhere. Yeah, I killed them. So what? Big deal. I'm finishing my courses. I'll wait and see what happens. But on December 7th, the bolo goes out for the white Elantra. He's still hanging around. 8 days later, he's on the highway. Or at least 7 days later, he's on the highway. The 14th, let's say. He's on the highway. So for at least a week, he still stayed behind in the state of Washington after the bolo goes out for the white Elantra. You know he knew about the car. His family probably heard about the car. And let's talk about that. Nobody thought to call and say, hey, we hear they're looking for a white Elantra. Ding, 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 ding. Hit the link. Make this live count. Give me your opinion pertaining to dirty Roberta laundry and the shovel and wanting to aid her son after killing Gabby Petito. And part 2, Big Bird has now been flown back to Idaho. Make it count. I would think he would have enough decency to call tip line or minimum a lawyer and say, hey, I think my son may have done this. Well, but you'd have to believe that your son did it. You'd have to say to yourself, I think my son is the killer that they're looking for. And let's be truthful. Who wants to say that about their own child? Not too many people. They may think it, but they're not going to say it out loud. So I'd like to know, when did his family find out about the Idaho 4? Did they ever call him to talk about the kids' deaths? Or did he call them to talk about it too? Did he ever get on the internet talking about the crimes? Is that him talking in front of that computer and a cell phone? Also, there is a picture of somebody in the gymnasium at the memorial. Was that Mr. Berger? I'm going to call him Kohberger or Big Bird because I don't want to say his whole name. Features could look like him, but you don't have a close-up enough to say it's him or not. But that jacket with the hoodie looks similar to jacket worn inside of the car with the traffic stops. That could be Mr. Kohberger. And how sickening would that be to know he was at the memorial and it was assumed that the killer would show up? And don't you find it interesting? This person is lying all the way in the back, not near anybody. Why not? Why go to a vigil or memorial to stand all the way in the back of a building? 15 minutes away is not really another state. Think about it. They share the same news broadcast, Pullman, Washington, and Idaho. Why not? They're right close together. Big Bird does not deserve fame. A lot of people think they can get famous from doing these things. Well, J-Luck, you have to remember, if you don't have that kind of mindset, it's not fame to you. But if a person has decided that he or she doesn't have anything to live for, and they decide they want to go out here and hunt people as prey, then they know eventually they probably will get caught, and they're willing to forfeit their freedom to stay in a prison up until death if they get the death penalty. They obviously have to be fine with that, because why go out here and kill people one after the other and just assume you're not going to be apprehended? Now, I'm not saying he doesn't have a grandiose disposition, because he possibly does. He probably thinks very highly of himself. He thinks his shit doesn't stink. He thinks he's invisible. He cannot wait to touch down and fight the charges and explain to 12 members of a jury why his DNA is in this house and mixed in with these dead kids' blood. He cannot wait for that moment because he is sick. So just like that fool defended himself in court that ran through those people at that Christmas parade in Wisconsin, to me, this is no different. This is no different. Will he get a public defender, or will his parents hire an attorney? Big Bird is now jail. Yes. Big Bird is just that. A big old jailbird. You said it. Thank you for joining me. You're listening to The Vault. Brought you commentary pertaining to Roberta Laundrie, her husband, being sued by the Schmidt-Petito family. Disgusting letter has come available to the public where she's trying to help her son by talking about putting a knife or so in a cake and also bringing him a shovel. This is after he has murdered Gabby Petito. Let's see what we have pertaining to the body language of this thing. Live now from Fox is the source. Thank you for joining me. Since you all don't want to hit the link, I'll just play some more commentary, then I'll check out of here. Thank you for your time. Happy New Year, everybody. Yeah, we got all kind of names. Kohberger, Big Bird. Hey. K-Bird, whatever you want to call him. I'm tired of pronouncing his name. Getting old. Too old for using big words. Live now from Fox is the source. Thank you for joining me.
Now is Dr. Carol Limberman, a forensic psychiatrist, a trial expert witness, and she's also a body language expert. So, Dr. Carol, thank you so much for joining the show and offering your context and analysis. I do want to begin with the video that shows Kohberger walking to the courtroom. He's wearing that red jumpsuit, and I would love to play it and see if you could maybe offer a little bit of analysis, maybe some red flags that you're seeing. Let's go ahead and take a look.
Yeah.
Well, that actually is
him
walking in the halls of the court after he had spoken to the judge. And, he has this deadpan look. Most of the pictures and video that we see of him he has this deadpan look at his people who knew him, or even his current classmates said he has this. That's how he is. In this picture, that's when he's walking to the courthouse, and you see that he looks for a second at the reporters. They're calling to him and asking him, why did you do it, and so on. And but other than that, he then quickly looks straight ahead, turns toward the courthouse, and has this robot-like walk.
Yeah, he does.
And,
very strange.
The only time that we have seen him, other than this kind of robotic sort of face, in these court pictures, though, you do see some indication of his anxiety. For example, his biting his lip, in walking in the hall. In the other picture, he was blinking some. Those are some indications of anxiety. But the main picture, video, where he looks other than deadpan is the one where the second arrest, well, not really an arrest, but where the police stop him in Indiana, he and his father driving to Pennsylvania, and he looks at the policeman and he is panic stricken.
Yeah, I felt that.
Yes, there we go. That because he doesn't know whether the police know that.
Yeah, he looks real crazy. The dad's smiling, but he looks crazy in that picture.
Committing the crime, and they didn't at that time. They didn't know about the license plate and so on of the car, but he didn't know that. And clearly, right there, he's expecting maybe this is going to be it. This is going to be the arrest.
I agree.
And his father, in contrast. His father has this very strange affect. He tells the policeman about some crime that happened in Washington, not the 4 students who were murdered, and how his son is going to school in Washington. Very strange. I think we're beginning to see that a lot of strange things about his father. Like at the courthouse yesterday, he wore these strange clothes, not appropriate really for going to court where your son is being accused of murder.
What did he have on?
It's interesting that you mentioned the father. Do you think that perhaps he had some knowledge about his son possibly committing these crimes?
Well, it's interesting that you asked that. I think, the father is perhaps in denial, but it's so strange that he would fly to Washington right after the crimes and drive back across the states. Was this on the father's bucket list that he wanted to go cross country? Did he hear something in his son's voice that sounded a bit off and he was worried about his son driving all the way? Or did he have some inkling about the son? He had to have heard about the white Elantra. He knows that his son has that car. He drove all the way in that car. Perhaps even when the policeman stopped him, that was the father's nervousness, talking about all of these things, that perhaps the father also was worried that the policeman was going to arrest his son.
So let's talk about the court hearing.
I want you all please go to my channel. Please go to my community board and pull up this video live now from Fox. It was uploaded 5 hours ago. When you watch him walking, I guess, back from the courtroom, Big Burger, he looked like he is walking like a white Medea. Like he's got on house shoes. He probably is shackled. So forgive me, Bryan, if you had on shackles and flip-flops. I'm sorry. I'm sorry they couldn't offer you any, Roberto Cavalli slippers. Maybe you could call OJ and ask OJ for some damn shoes. But nonetheless, he's straddling, and I'm sure that's because he has ankle bracelets on. But he still reminded me of a white Medea. Hey, Tyler Perry wears a woman's suit underneath those dresses. I think most of you know this. And I think it's befitting that Tyler Perry ships those clothes to Idaho. Why not? Because I got a feeling there's more to Big Burger than meets the guy. J-Luck, please stop. I can't fool with y'all. Oh, Jesus, help me. God forgive me, because I've been very diplomatic in these storylines, but now that he's been apprehended, I can go on and just act a damn fool. Big Burger, K-Burger, Big Bird. Whichsoever. I will not play kind. I've been very nice. I never threw one dagger at one person during this case because I did not want to talk bad about anybody. But I have decided I don't want to play nice now because he makes me sick. He don't need the fake. What is that? What is that? A swimsuit? Vegan tongues. Oh, Jesus. God, you all are sick. Let me finish this commentary. Since you all don't want to hit the link, 145 people viewing, you all just want to sit down there and chat. Let's let this forensic lady do her thing. Hold on, you guys. Let's finish this. Jesus wept.
Was something interesting that happened. Kohberger mentioned that he does not have a mental illness. When asked by the judge, he said no, he doesn't have a mental illness. How could this possibly play out in future court hearings?
Have you all not noticed that he has a broken nose? His nose is broken. That's up close shot of him walking into the jail. His nose is broken. You can see somebody has hit him in the nose. Brittany from North Carolina, how are you?
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. You want to talk to the queen now?
Of course I do.
Do you want me to finish this or you want to start talking?
No, go ahead, finish.
Okay, 10 more minutes left.
I'm heading to my second
commercial on that. Sorry about that. Let's see what else this lady has to say about this big ass bird.
Yes. I mean, the judge, that's a normal thing for the judge to ask, yes, to make sure that the defendant is of sound mind when he's agreeing to extradition.
Maybe he got it broke.
Which is what the hearing was about yesterday. So that was the question, is there anything, do you suffer from any mental health diagnosis or take any prescribed medication that would interfere with your being able to consent to waiving extradition? And he said no. Now, he said that presumably because he wanted to be extradited and get to Idaho and probably to see the what was written up in the arrest warrant and so on.
I'm sorry.
For why they, what they suspect about him. But his defense attorney, who he's going to get in Idaho, will most likely try for an insanity defense, which, as an expert witness myself, a psychiatric expert witness who has been hired by the defense.
Do you think Big Bird will use the insanity defense, Brittany?
No, I don't.
Because he doesn't want people to think he's crazy, right?
No, I think he thinks he's smarter than everyone. Right.
Exactly. So I don't think he'll use the insanity defense, but she's mentioning here in this commentary. Let's finish this.
Times for a psychiatric defense and not guilty by reason of insanity or
off home, please stop.
Can prove that the person didn't have the intent to kill. So that is going to get in the way of this future probable defense. But there is no way that I haven't examined him, but it does not seem to me, certainly I've studied this case, it does not seem to me that he would be appropriate for not guilty by reason of insanity. He knew what he was doing when he committed that crime.
Yes,
I've talked about how he's an incel. Besides whatever other psychiatric problems he has, I think the main motive for this was that he is an incel and involuntary celibate. Who was enraged at these 4 students for being Stacy's and Chad's, what incels call the beautiful people, the people who they think wouldn't give them the time of day.
Well, is that true?
And so, but that
is he an incel? Was he jealous of these kids? Nice looking kids, productive, got it going on, popular, everybody likes them. True or false? Brittany?
I don't know. Possibly. I haven't heard anyone, unless I just haven't heard it, come out and say that he had
information to let us know actually how he found them to stalk, if he even stalked anybody. For all we know, it could have been a one-time, just saw somebody and just, you understand what I'm saying? Impulsive.
Part of me kind of wonders with, what he's been studying and things like that, was this just to see if he could get away?
He studies.
Do what?
I say he studies people's behaviors.
Right. And just, asking the questionnaire, that they had showed online and things like that. Was it just to see if he could get away with this?
And all of that's approved though. All that's approved though. See, I don't make a big deal about any of that because that's what he was doing. He was studying psychology, studying criminals. The only problem would be, I think he was asking people in the library. And at first I was wondering, well, why would that bother you? But maybe somebody felt like, okay, he was in it for a while. What a while is, I don't know. But why would you be asking people who aren't criminals? So I can see why maybe a person thought that was strange. You understand what I'm saying? You're winded. You're still talking to people, but these aren't criminals allegedly. So why would you be talking to college students? So that's when I realized maybe I understood their point.
Right. Yeah, that is strange. He definitely, I feel like, would give me strange vibes.
I think then he was just, what's the word we use? Reaching. He was falling off. He was falling off. He was falling off.
Yeah.
It's sad because I think if some type of help or medicine, somebody had paid attention, he probably could have done well in life. He could have done well in life, but this was his choice. This killing these kids, like I said, it could have been impulsive. It could have been just one day he saw one of them, and I don't know. That's why I said I want to get the evidence. I want to see what they have against him as far as data, apps, surveillance of him being in the neighborhood more than once, because they did ask that too. They said, if you think you've seen this car before the 13th, and that's when I really got nervous. I thought, oh, where they're going with this. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Have they actually said where the car was actually seen on camera that night?
No, they ain't gonna tell you that. No, they got to preserve that because they don't want to tank the jury, because they got to pick some people out that great old Moscow, Idaho.
And so, but that does not mean, that isn't a defense for, when he killed them, he knew what he was doing. And that's the thing. Did the person know the nature of his crime? And did he know whether it was right or wrong? And he did, for sure, at the time.
So let's talk more about his background and his past. We're still learning a lot, but based off of what has been revealed thus far, have you noticed any personality indicators that maybe could have foreshadowed this event? You mentioned the likelihood of him being an incel. Maybe you could elaborate a little bit further on that and other things that you've noticed throughout this course of getting to know about his background that could have possibly been indicative of these murders.
Sure. Well, for one thing, an incel is a man who has had a long history, really from the first time that they showed interest in a woman. Or these are men who feel unfairly deprived of women wanting to have sex with them or wanting to date them, and because they've been rejected all along. And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. They build up rage as they get rejected more and more. And we don't know we do know. There are things that come out that kind of support that characterization of him. Is the fact that his cell phone was found pinging in the same places as these 4 students.
Wow, I didn't hear that.
Especially Kaylee, when he was young, when he was in high school, and he was overweight and he was considered a nerd and so on. But more than that, the girls bullied him. High school girls bullied him, threw things at him, and it went from there. A bar in his neighborhood in Pennsylvania talk about how the owner of the bar had to talk with him because he was he was harassing the women, the staff, and the customers, trying to get them to pay attention to him, to go out with him, and so on. So there's a history of that. There's a subculture on the internet of these incels. The most famous incel was Elliot Rodger in 2014. He's the one who shot and knifed and ran over with his car a bunch of students at UC Santa Barbara. And he's sort of the incel hero. Now, the incels have already, just recently, they have started a free Bryan Kohberger campaign. So
oh my God.
They recognize him as one of them. They feed each other's rage. And that, the reason when I started talking about this at the beginning, because when they described the crime scene as so not just knifing, stabbing, which is very personal,
that is ridiculous.
But the fact that it was so brutal. And that is because he unleashed on them, in my opinion, all of the rage, that he has been storing up in his 28 years. And, obviously he has some other psychological problems as well. But, and we, of course, we haven't learned very much about his family. And, other than what we saw, we know one of his sisters is a psychologist. We know his father.
Wow, really?
Bankrupt in 2010. I would say that probably
that's probably the gambler.
The family member who influenced him most in a negative way was his father. But we can't really say, I don't know anything more about him other than that he went bankrupt. But, perhaps there's some mental illness
in a gated community now.
But we don't know that yet. We do know one thing that was interesting was that after the murders, the students in his criminology class talked about how he changed, how now he was more talkative, he was animated. And I had predicted that, I was talking about what people should look for if they think if they're trying to help find the killer. And I said one of the things to look for would be a change in personality.
Wow,
he
interesting.
would have been introverted before the killings and then become more extroverted afterwards, because he would feel so proud of himself that he had gotten rid of some Stacys and some Chads, the beautiful people who the incels hate.
So let's talk more about his field of study, because we do know that he was studying criminology and criminal justice, I believe. Does this offer any insight into a motivation, possibly?
Every moment in life.
Sorry about that, you guys. Commercial break. Was he studying psychology to kill or studying to find out more about himself? Interesting.
Yes. I think that his studies, first he studied psychology as an undergrad and then criminology to get his master's. And then, of course, he's in this PhD program in criminology. I think it was two things. One, he was struggling with the demons inside of him, the murderous demons inside of him that wanted to commit a crime. He was struggling to try to damp those down, calm those. But on the other hand, at the same time, he was also trying to learn what he could about criminology and criminals and how to commit the perfect crime. I think that's what he was trying to do. That he had these two impulses fighting with each other, and apparently the one where he wanted to commit the perfect crime won. And I think part of it, there's been talk about his teacher, who is a famous criminologist who's written a bunch of books and so on, and has collaborated with the BTK killer. And I think part of him, he wants to be his own book. He wants to have books about him. And I think he also fantasized about writing a book with his teacher about him and his crimes.
Well, anything else?
Well, who better to write it
to you
than his professor?
Case? We've been trying to figure out what the connection could possibly be between the suspect and the 4 victims, but now you're giving us more insight into that. Anything else that really stands out?
Well, talking about that, Kaylee's father had said that she told him that she had a stalker, and and even there's a shopkeeper in Moscow, and where he said that her friends told him that they would walk behind her because she had a stalker. Now, why nothing more was done about that? But they should listen to her father, really.
But you got to be alone at some point.
So much. What else? In his studies of psychology and criminology, that is what Ted Bundy did. Ted Bundy studied psychology first, and then he studied not criminology per se, but he studied law, and he studied that in Washington. And so it made me wonder whether, in fact, Bryan Kohberger was following or trying to follow Ted Bundy's
I thought about that too.
And go to
Washington State, yes.
Criminology, in the same kind of way.
That crossed my mind.
The difference, though, between the two of them is that Ted Bundy was not an incel. He was a charmer. He had women. He could get women. He did get women. That's how he was able to kill a lot of the women, because they came with him. They were attracted to him. but it is kind of, I wonder if it's just a coincidence that he went to Washington, or he really, especially since he was studying criminology, he knew about Ted Bundy, so perhaps doing that on purpose.
So next,
That's
United
interesting.
States Marshals will extradite him back to Idaho. That's when we'll learn more details about the murder, and we'll touch base with you as soon as that happens. Thank you so much for joining us.
She's too quiet for the news. She ain't got no oomph in her. Black girl. I'm done playing commentary. Thank you all so much for joining me. If you need verification for anything I've played, please go to my community board for the said audio pertaining to Miss Roberta Laundrie and Big Bird, Kohberger. Brittany, take it away. We got to step away for just a second. Go ahead and give us your commentary, sweetie. But I do want to say this before you get started. I do believe he went out west possibly to mimic, yes, Theodore Bundy, because everybody knows that Pacific Northwest has produced a lot of serial killers. California has the leading victims of serial killers in the United States, about right under 2,000, about 1777. So I get a feeling possibly that is why he went out there, is to mimic Theodore Bundy. Because as Joseph Scott Morgan said, they got a lot of great schools on the East Coast. Why not pick a program over there? You understand? And the fact that he registered his car, and the fact that he registered his car 5 days after killing the kids in the state of Washington shows you he had no plans of leaving then. Let's say then. He was confident 5 days after. So he didn't show any fear, because why register your car 5 days after killing some kids?
And, I wonder with him registering his car, they were already, at that point, were they looking for
the 7th? They didn't put the bolo out to December 7th. So that's almost like 3 weeks later from killing the kids.
Okay.
But that's
they would go through the DMV database.
If he was really scared, he would have left immediately. That's the point I'm making. If he really wanted to go, nothing was keeping him from leaving after November 13th. So 5 days later, on the 18th, he registers his car in Washington State. The bolo doesn't come out for the car, Elantra, until December 7th. That's about 3 weeks later. So he still stayed a week later from the 7th of December. You see where I'm going? Mm-hmm. He still stayed behind. So literally he stayed behind in Washington after killing the kids 1 whole month. And
with that car.
Exactly. With the car, still doing the studies, all of that. So to me, that doesn't look like somebody that was too fearful. But I think he was fearful when he was in that car, like she said. Because they've got a caption of him leaning down. His dad's talking, looking up at the state trooper or whoever. And you can see Bryan's looking like, okay, what is he going to ask? What else is, you understand what I'm saying? He had that weird look on his face because he always got like a stoic look anyway. I think he was scared shitless when he got pulled over 2 times.
Oh, I bet he was. I just find that so strange that he would have drove. I feel like, knowing what he had did, that was so risky to drive.
Well, you heard what the one trooper said. Y'all don't like flying? Y'all scared to fly?
No joke. I mean, and money-wise, there's no way that, him storing his car for whatever amount of time at the airport, that they wouldn't have saved money. I don't know. It's just very odd.
Listen, $50-something down there a day, 25, 26, depending on where you park at the airport, that's going to add up if you're going 2 weeks straight.
Yeah, I mean, it would, and maybe, I don't know. It's strange. The whole thing's strange. I found it odd, that they were pulled over twice. I mean, I've been pulled over many times, but never for following too close to a car. That's just odd to me that that's what they were pulled over for. And they were both not given a ticket both times. And I just think it's strange as well that they brought up that shooting. Like, why in a conversation with a traffic stop would you bring up something like that? Even if, you mentioned that's where you're coming from. It's all very strange. It truly is. It makes no sense. I'm dying to know more information. But, he had, especially with the second, he was probably, the first traffic stop definitely worried. But the second one so close together, oh, I'm so sure he was, because, I think that's the one picture they have him and his face is kind of all scrunched up. And you could tell he was annoyed. And he actually says that he was pulled over by a SUV, a state trooper, and I think it was actually a truck that pulled him over. He didn't even know. But it's odd. I'm interested to know about the dad. There's so much. I want to know if there's a connection. If it was just he was just tracking them and they never really actually came into contact with him. Maybe he's seen them somewhere.
I got a feeling he just found them by accident. Just like how you get notifications and suggestions on Facebook and they come up when you go in to check your messages and notifications. It could have been just that. And he just fixated on them.
Right. And then it's possible he started following the other girls the same way. Maybe followed one, seen that they lived together and kind of found them all.
Why do y'all keep talking about the knife? He couldn't travel with the knife. You could buy a knife anywhere.
Do you think he still has it?
Anywhere. Why does he need to have the knife with him? Listen to what you're saying. Why does he need to have the knife? You want me to believe he had the knife on him while he was in that car? If he wanted to kill somebody in Pennsylvania and flew, he could go buy a knife somewhere. Come on, you guys.
Do you think he kept it?
You'd be a fool to have kept the knife.
I agree.
That's the last thing you want in your possession if they raid your house is keep the knife.
Oh, they say some do say they keep things as a trophy.
Okay, it could be a trophy, but it won't be in that house or apartment.
Right.
He may have hid it somewhere and buried it somewhere. And he can go back and look and talk to it. You know what I'm saying? And put it back under the, in the dirt somewhere. But I can't see him keeping that knife. He'd have to be. But then he's cocky. He may have kept it. But if he kept it, he's a fool. You'd be a fool to keep that knife. What I want to know is how long did he have the knife? Now that we know who the suspect is, if this is indeed he's the person, which I think he is, because I don't think the DNA lie. I'm not about to be one of those people that is about to start down in the DNA because I don't rock like that. I want to know, did he buy the knife specifically for this event, or he already had a knife? You know what I mean? Is he a knife collector, or he likes knives, or he bought it just for this event to kill the kids? And it's even more just depressing to know that Ethan was a big guy. They both probably stood damn near toe to toe, but he couldn't take them down. Don't you find that interesting?
And he actually, yesterday when I saw him, he was, of course, had a bulletproof vest on, but he was bigger than I thought. Just from some of the other pictures, he looked more scrawny.
When his daddy came out, I was looking at the mom and the girl walking covered up, right?
I haven't seen that.
Okay, they're covered up. This one going into jail. They're covered up. And all of a sudden, you get this back view of this guy. He's coming in. I said, "Who the hell is that?" I said, "Look at this big ass man." I said, "Oh my God, that's his daddy." I said, "It's got to be his daddy. He's big." And
that's interesting because he doesn't look very big.
His backside looks like he's got, a little cellulite, and the front is stomach and girl boobs.
I wouldn't have guessed that just from the traffic.
Man boobs. That's what he was sitting down.
Right.
How are you going to tell sitting down?
Interesting.
Yeah.
And that's a tiny car for them to both be so big.
Well, I was going to say that. I didn't want to say that. Hey, it would have been worse on an airplane.
Oh, true. Very, very true.
Been real stuffed in there like a damn potato. Up in that airplane, they would have had no leg room.
I don't know. And if God bless his parents, if they have no idea, I mean, I can't imagine being them. But at the same time, I didn't really like their statement either,
Laura, how do you know Ethan got it from behind? You don't know that. You don't know that he got it from behind. We do not know where he was stabbed, how he stabbed him. If he came out hearing a noise, if they were face to face.
Yeah, no.
Struggled, he stabbed him. Well, we don't know that.
Yeah, and I don't think any of those details will come up for a long time.
Well, how do you feel about the gag order?
It wasn't really that surprising, I guess. They are still saying that we'll get to read the God, what do they call it? The arrest affidavit?
Yeah.
And honestly, we probably wouldn't known any more than that anyways. I do think it's a little interesting only because, I don't know if he's the chief, but the smiley guy that comes out and speaks, he,
the dark hair?
No, the older white man, white hair.
Oh, Chief Fry Baldwin?
Yeah. he had made, when he made the statement about the arrest, he had said, oh, we're going to keep you guys up to date. Da, 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 da. So I felt like, he was going to be a little bit more forthcoming, but I guess not.
Yeah. He's going to be like, just like how it was with Cal City all this time. We're bitching and moaning. That chief knew exactly who the killer was the entire time. And they never uttered a word for a whole year.
Yeah,
a whole entire year.
What's the court date on that? Do you know?
That secret was kept. Honey, I thought it was going to come along here
November.
Months ago. I don't know.
I'll have to look. I thought it was November.
The defense is probably not ready because there's probably so much evidence and text messaging and testimony. They're probably not ready.
Right. Yeah. And the same thing with this case. Think about the amount of data with the 4 people,
That's a lot.
That's a lot. Yeah, a lot.
Calls, messaging apps, Google searches, people who call, hang up calls, missed calls. It's a lot.
And, I think it's hard to say the house was targeted. I know that's been mentioned at one point. That house is crammed in there with so many other homes.
But if I'm driving by, this is what people don't understand about people that are sick, because this is why you can't put logic behind what they do. First of all, they're ill. So you're in your head, beating your head up, trying to figure out how they found somebody. You can find people any kind of way. You can find them at the stoplight. You can see them getting on a bus. If it fancied you, then you follow, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're driving down the street. Pretty girl walks by. You want to see where she goes, if that's your thing. So they could have been anywhere on a post. If their profiles are public, you could just pull up a subject, and then whoever's posted about it publicly, their profile comes up. So a person and say, oh, she's pretty, he's handsome. They read the post, open up to see what the person looked like, see if their content is, public, to see all the stuff they're talking about. Then next thing you know, you're getting fascinated by the pictures. That's all it takes.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting that Kaylee had mentioned.
Most young people have public pages.
Mm-hmm.
They want to be public.
And even if hers wasn't, or whoever he was targeting wasn't public, he could go to one of the other friends to see pictures. And
then they have a rideshare program between the colleges, Washington State, Idaho, have a rideshare program. I've read you that content, that you could catch a shuttle from Washington State to Moscow's campus. So he could get on a van and just ride and take a tour of the school, the town, walk around. I'm telling you, anybody would be a sitting duck pertaining to his mindset. And that's what you need to understand about this case. If it wasn't the 4, it was going to be somebody. That's what people have to understand about a sick mind. It was going to be somebody. It just happened to be these 4. But it's going to be somebody. And
I definitely feel he would have planned it a little bit, though. I definitely feel like he would have did some planning.
Well, you would to some extent, but what did I say? If you're impulsive, so we don't really know what kind of person he is. We don't know if he's the type that's impulsive, because we do know he likes to flirt. We do know he likes to talk out of turn. So who's to say he wasn't impulsive? He saw something one day and just like, I like her. And then just followed her. And just watched her go in the house. Then maybe he sat somewhere for a while, drove by, gaped a little bit, learned the streets, did a little Google searching of all the streets, surrounding the house. Who's to say? Because we don't know. But it's just like a man when he flirts with a woman. He didn't have to look you up on Facebook to be interested in you. He could have just saw you at the gas station, make a move. Hey, how you doing? What's your name? You either speak or you don't speak. Then maybe you don't speak. He feels some type of way, so maybe he sits in his car and he waits till you pull off. And he follows you.
And the bar that had notes in the system, was that in Pennsylvania or
Pennsylvania?
That's interesting though.
At a brewery.
Yeah. That's pretty fascinating to me that, he was that.
And that lets you know they have a good system, because a lot of places don't give a damn about somebody flirting with you or cursing you out or disrespecting you. But that lets you know they're not going to let their patrons just come in and, bring bad behavior to the business, because a lot of establishments don't reprimand bad behavior. They let the regular customers come in and gnaw and paw on the women and stuff. Oh, well, you know, he spends a lot of money. It doesn't matter. He's got a nasty mouth. He don't got no business being there. If he's vulgar, he doesn't have any business being there. Same thing for a woman. The rules are the same. But a lot of people get past this because they spend money in the bar.
I'd be interested to know about any of his past relationships.
Have you heard of any?
No, but there's got to be something. I mean, because I think, they talk about the incel and all that, and I can understand, whatever, not getting the attention you want, whatever. But the vulgarness is where I'm like, how could you?
Brittany, I don't know. I think he has not had any relationships.
I guess not. Yeah.
Don't you think somebody by now would have said something?
Yeah, probably. They probably would have.
No, the father hasn't said anything about connection. That's why I don't know where they're getting this from, that his phone was pinging near the house. See, every blue moon, somebody would say something pertaining to this case, and I haven't heard any connection yet. He said his lawyer knows something, but he doesn't know. So that means the lawyer hasn't told him anything allegedly. That's what Mr. Gonsalves said.
I find that hard to believe.
But that's going to be released once this thing goes for his hearing or whatever. They'll open that up, and hopefully they'll let us know how he came to know of the kids. So I'm one of those people, I don't say either way. Even before I knew who he was, I never said either way because, like I said, I know the human mind. Everybody works differently. One person is impulsive. Another person is a planner. We only think he planned it because the house was quiet that night, which I think is interesting. And if they party every week, one could say he had to watch to know on that night there wasn't any company.
And we say that, but at the same time, there's 4 cars in the
right. But if I know that they're all women, then it doesn't matter.
Right.
But if I was just somebody passing by, I would know that 4, 5, 6 women lived in the house. You see what I'm saying? So that would lead you to think that maybe he did watch because he'd have to know, well, I could take down 5 women because they're going to be asleep. So they're not going to see me coming. But the flip side of that, too, is how you know that you were going to even get in. See, that's something that bothers me. Before I knew who the killer was, how did you know that you were going to be able to get in this house? So that's why a lot of people probably thought it was somebody that knew the girls. They knew that maybe the girls left the door unlocked, which is even more crazy. It's like, who the hell leaves doors unlocked to go to bed?
Right. And I mean, with him, if he does not know, then I wouldn't think that would be anything. He had probably, checked the house out with it having the sliding door. I've always heard, that's something there.
Yeah.
It's easily to be broken into.
Guess what? But see, this is the part that makes no sense about that. If he didn't break in, then that means you left something unlocked for him to get in. That is not good.
Yeah.
So even if you can't lock the slider from outside, you're inside. So what the hell would possess you not to lock the door from inside? Why would you not lock any door or window? You've got to keep that stuff locked.
Yep.
Here where I'm at, one window was open for a while and I didn't even know it until I went and checked it. And I thought, oh my God, all those times I was going out at night, I said, anybody could have crawled in. Naturally, they would have knocked some stuff over that was sitting in front of it, which probably would have scared the shit out of them. But it's just principle.
Yeah, I was taking Christmas stuff off my house and I was double checking my window.
But that's why you have to check your house out. Whether you're in a house, apartment, a trailer, you need to check all your windows. You need to go outside to make sure all the screens are in good condition. You need to check your doors. You need to see if they could be infiltrated. They've told you, experts have said, if you want to see how secure your house is, pretend you're locked out and see if you can jimmy your way in.
Yep.
And if you can jimmy your way in without, compromising the door frame, then that means you need a better lock.
And with them, being out drinking, not that that's, an issue, but whatever.
We all can drink.
Right. And, they just probably forgot.
Why would I not lock my door back? Now, as I said, I've told people my door has an issue with if you don't push it all the way up, you'll think it's closed and it's not. The door is actually locked. It's not pushed up. It's got
Yeah,
to
I
make
know exactly what you mean.
yeah, it's got to make a click sound. So that would be easy. Yeah, if you've been drinking, you don't pay attention. But I just make sure. Usually I've done pretty good with making sure that door clicks. Now the times I'm gonna tell you when it didn't click is when I actually was still here in the house. I was in here, but I hadn't walked out and not made it click. I pull it all the way up when I walk out.
And I'm not gonna lie, there has been times in the mornings I'm leaving, I'm like, where are my keys? And my keys were still in my door.
Oh my God, that's dangerous.
Yeah, but my house was locked, but the keys were in it.
I think I've only maybe done that once in life. Had the keys.
Oh, I've did it probably twice, maybe 3 times.
You know what I've done that? It's when I was shopping, had a lot of stuff in my hands.
Yeah. Yeah, that I don't even know how I did it.
But that's why I tell people why you have to focus when you are out, because this is when you become disoriented. You are tired. You've been running around. You're carrying too many things. This is when you become lax. This is when people target you too. When they see you with a lot of parcels, a lot of bags, you're huffing, you're puffing, you're scurrying across the parking lot. That is the worst time to be out. You want to be very lucid when you are shopping, because your defenses are down when you are carrying a big old pocketbook. Then you got all these bags in your hand. Then you're sitting here trying to talk to Pookie Ray Ray on the phone. Tell them I will talk to you when I touch down in my house. You always want to be aware of your surroundings. That's why I tell people, don't talk on the phone when shopping. Don't talk on the phone putting stuff in the car. Always look around. Don't park next to vans. Don't announce everywhere that you're damn going.
Right.
Tell everybody once you're already back.
Mm-hmm. It's scary. And that's the sad thing, because, that they truly, the girls, whoever, that even, Ethan, they weren't doing anything wrong. It is sick to think that there are.
It doesn't matter what you do. Like they say, a nun has been accosted before. So a nun wears a habit. So nothing is showing on her. No makeup. Right. No form-fitting clothes, dresses, whatever, and a nun has been accosted. So if a person will accost a nun and an elderly person, it doesn't matter about you being a child, a woman, a man, a mini skirt, a halter top, a short skirt, tight jeans. It won't matter.
No, because it wasn't like they were even dressed, inappropriate or anything like that.
It's just what I said earlier. If I see what I want, that's what I want. It doesn't matter if the skirt is all the way down to the ankles. If I see that's what I want, then that's what I desire. That's who I want to assault, then that's who I'm going to assault. It's not going to matter about the clothes. It's a myth. You're wearing provocative clothes. It can incite the wrong type of behavior, which true, it does. That's not a lie. It does. But the point is, if a person wants to choose whomever, then that's what he will do, or she.
Yeah, and it's impossible to understand, because truly, we aren't those type of people. A lot
of these people are ill. So let's talk about this. Allegedly, they don't believe that any of the women were sexually assaulted. This is why I said I don't think he's even dated anybody. Has he even had sex with a woman? Because imagine a 28-year-old who hasn't had sex with a woman.
It's very possible he has not.
Mm-hmm. So he goes into this house, he's really pissed off. And she called them Chads and Stacy's. It's a crazy names.
Yeah, that took me a second to catch on to.
I was thinking more of Ken and Barbie, but you know me, I'm old school. But I'm angry. You don't like me. I'm not that guy that you would ever date. And I don't know if that's really true, because I'm going to be truthful. That one boyfriend of Kaylee's, he's not a morning star to me.
No, not by any means.
He's not somebody I would just assume she would be attracted to, but that's the point. To each his own. To each his own. So who's to say if he wouldn't have been the type of guy that one of the girls could have dated? He never gave himself a chance to find out who could date him, because he doesn't know how to talk.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
Yeah.
With the way he obviously speaks to people, which is very interesting to me, because I don't think that well, just my opinion, I feel like that's a kind of a learned behavior, or
Well, he probably did, depending on how his parents treated him, how he was reared, and then if he was an introvert growing up, that's already a cast stone right there. And then you're trying to talk and intermingle with kids, and then they're already starting to look at you funny. Then you got to count how did he dress growing up, and one thing begets another. So then you're carrying that image on to the next school, and 9 times out of 10 in a small town, he's going to the same similar schools with the same kids who probably started teasing him. You understand what I'm saying? So now, year for year, you're that outcast. So you never getting a chance to redeem yourself because you're still being judged from last year.
And maybe that's another reason, he came so far
and he
away.
Became very angry over time.
Yeah. Oh, he's definitely angry. No doubt about that. But, I wonder sometimes if that was, coming all the way to Washington State, if that was, nobody knows me here, nobody knows my.
Jennifer said, imagine if you date him, would you speak up? Jennifer? Hey.
I don't know.
We know people right now who would hold the secret if they knew that he had killed those girls and kids and Ethan. Wouldn't say a word. How many times
because it's
did you
possible.
find out somebody knew that they were sleeping with a killer or rapist and they stayed with them? It's been a lot. Because I need to get the details on that girl who dated Ted Bundy. I don't think she left him right away when she was thinking that he was doing stuff that he didn't have no business.
There is absolutely no way. I can't imagine. I know it happens all the time. People have no idea. But to have any sort of inkling that my significant other that I lay down with is, murdering people, that is absolutely absurd.
She got a glimpse that he was ill, because I believe it was said that one time they had sex and he choked her. So then when I watched this other documentary about him recently, he threw her in the fucking river. I had never heard that before. Yes. I think he either pushed her head under the water. I think he pushed her head in the water and then brought her back up for a while. And I thought, see, I never heard that before.
Oh, yeah, no, that
was new news to me. So you got to ask yourself, if that actually happened, how long did she stay with him after he put her head under the water? How long did she stay with him when the time that allegedly he choked her during sex? Because she said it freaked her out. So see, this is what I'm saying. There are always signs. Eventually, you're not going to be able to control the impulses. And think about this. He was coming home tired and also a student. So how is he going to work, also do his school, and also cater to a girlfriend and a kid, and then try to have normal sex when he's having sex with dead bodies after he done beat him to death and strangled them and stuffed twigs in their kitty cat? You heard about that, right?
What do you mean twigs? Like literally a twig?
Yeah. He took one girl out into the woods, carried her. Ted Bundy was a motherfucker. He stuffed branches and twigs inside of her vagina.
Yeah, that's.
I read that many years ago. I was a young girl when I read that. I read that in Cosmopolitan. And then there was the aunt said that when he was up 3 or 4, she woke up, he had knives neatly placed beside her in the bed.
Oh, wow.
Now, where would a 3 or 4-year-old learn to go get a knife and just, place them like little army men beside a sleeping body? Now, you explain that to me.
Yeah,
the person that raised him, that father, grandfather, whoever.
Yeah, that's strange. And I don't know. I'd love to know more information on this guy.
Yeah, and then, his sister was raising him. They made him think his sister, his mother was his sister.
Yeah, that's probably exactly where a lot of the hatred.
They said in an interview I was listening to, he said, I don't know why. He said, own words. He says, I don't know why. That just bothered me, that they would lie to me all those years and not tell me that my sister was actually my mother. So he probably, at that point, he began to hate women. Once he realized all these years, he thought his sister, his mother was his sister.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where he decides, well, I can't even trust these women that are supposed to be close to me. And then he meets this girl. He really liked her. And they had, disagreement, falling out, because she said he was getting so immersed into her, he started slacking off with his work. And then she dumps him. So now he's looking at her like, oh my God, you're the reason I'm acting crazy like this, because I'm so enthralled with you. And now you're turned off because she was, I guess, basically saying he wasn't goal oriented.
Right.
So basically, he's just a guy who got his nose open.
And that's probably exactly why, if someone has dated him and this guy in the past, she might be carrying some guilt as well. Now knowing this, like, not that it would be her fault, of course, but, was something that she did, when she decided not to be with him, had triggered these things. I don't know. It's just very strange. It's absolutely crazy.
I'm going to tell you the truth. I bet you really he hasn't dated anybody already.
It's very possible. I could really see that.
You have women who have not dated, and they are lonely women, and they're in their 20s and late 20s, and they've never had a relationship or a full relationship with a man, either physical or romantically. And that would be, disturbing to be in the world and you're getting up in age and you have never had a serious relationship with somebody. And it would be hurtful. I can understand his feelings in that department. You understand? To long for somebody and want to date somebody and have somebody to talk to and go places with and do things with and naturally have sex with them, but they're not even interested. So you can't get to all the good stuff because they won't even hold a conversation with you.
Mm-hmm. I can see that for sure. Yeah. He's how old? 28?
Mm-hmm. Just starting out in life.
Mm-hmm.
So he's never going to have anything. So anything that he ever desired, it's null and void now. There's nothing. You're never going to have kids. You're never going to get married. I mean, hell, you're not even going to get a girl pregnant out of wedlock. Unless he has sex with one of those crazy guards, like that thing down there in Alabama. Oh God, I watched. They've made a movie about them already.
Ugh. Yeah, no. And then it's crazy because did they also say he was a security guard for a school?
And that does not shock me because a lot of sadists want to be in law enforcement. We've learned We've learned that with a lot of men who ended up murdering people, maybe not mass murderers or serial killers, but that is one of the things that we've seen, with the little young boy that did the killing up in Wisconsin, the young boy that killed those people during that, all the Black Lives Matter stuff. They always want to be in charge. They always want to be validated. They have said this so many times with these, what you call these lone gunmen. They always want to be validated, want to be important, thought of as important. And so many men attribute being a police officer with some type of important stature for some crazy reason.
Hang on a second. I'm reading the chat. I heard something about a one-night stand with one of the victims.
Bridget said, I heard something about a one-night stand with one of the victims. And he tried to call, text. Oh, come on, Bridget. 2 years ago.
He wasn't there.
He wasn't there 2 years ago, sweetheart. I don't think he was there 2 years ago. Because this is his first year at PhD at the school. This is his first semester in the PhD program. So he wasn't even in Washington State to have an affair with any of the girls.
Could have definitely been somebody else then.
See the gossiping. Oh, Jesus, already.
Oh, I'm sure there's all kinds of rumors. I mean, I could see that happening, though. Maybe not with one of
and that's what I hated, because it's like all the ugly rumors that came out with, and now he's caught. And I said, they're still going to keep making up stuff that's not true.
I still want, the dad. I can't leave the dad thing alone because, with him mentioning the shootings, I can't help believe he knew about the stabbings. So therefore, if you're following that, they're looking for this car. Mm-hmm. So whether he has any, inkling that, oh, my child could be involved or whatever, you would think it would be just, especially with the type of reports, things that his son was studying. Have you at least contacted law enforcement, so they can rule our vehicle out of this, or just something?
Let's talk about that. Let's say the daddy did ask. What answer you think he would have given his father?
He would probably say yes, he has.
Yes, of course. So his dad won't keep asking. He'll probably say, oh yeah, I went down there and talked to them and I gave them my DNA or I gave them something. But imagine now, let's say he did that and now he's been arrested. Imagine that. Just imagine that. Oh, I thought you said you went down there and talked to the police. I did. Well, why the hell are you calling me from the damn jail? Why the hell they raiding our house? Let's wait, because you had to do the raid before he got to jail. Let's talk about that. Imagine the night they came to raid the house.
Right. So yesterday, did I understand it right that the man that was speaking when he was speaking on the raid, that he said that there were several windows broken?
Yeah, they broke them out.
That's interesting.
Why is it interesting?
I mean, I'm just wondering if it was immediately they broke them out or it was that they weren't.
They were loudspeaker. Get your ass up. Get up. You're under arrest. Nobody, I guess, got up. Well, we're going to make you get up. We're not going to let you sleep. So let's talk about what was at the house. What did he take to his parents' house?
Probably nothing other than the car.
Well, what did he leave at the apartment?
Oh, he had plenty of time to clean it, that's for sure.
But guess what? Bet you didn't do a good job cleaning that damn car.
Well, the outside was definitely not clean.
Because let me tell you this. Oh, the car was nasty. But, they probably went through a lot of bad weather. But how about this? Imagine when they sprayed luminol in the car. Shut up, Quinn. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, there's no, I mean, to my knowledge, there's no way to get rid of, that.
So imagine when they sprayed the luminol in his car. You talk about a smoking gun.
Yep. And it doesn't matter even if it only lit up in one little itty bitty dot. That's all they need.
Right up because he had to sit down.
That's what I'm interested to know about this camera with the car.
Yeah, he had to sit down. He had to grab the door handle outside. He had to shut the door on the inside. He had to grab the steering wheel. He's got to turn the lights on. I'm sure he turned the radio on. He may have turned the heat on. Put your arm on the console. Oh, I'm sure it lit up.
So whoever had this cam footage of the car that night, I'm assuming they can see him leaving, coming back.
Because let me tell you something. In the beginning, they already said when they changed the time of when Kaylee and Maddie got home, first they was putting them there at 1:45, then they changed it to 1:56. That came from somebody's doorbell camera. So imagine what they got as far as Bigfoot.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm interested to know.
Why do you think they say we're not releasing nothing from the arrest? Because we want to preserve the victims and the witnesses. See, that's why we keep trying to tell everybody when everybody was calling Jack out and all these people, you don't know what somebody saw. You just refused to accept they didn't tell the public. Because they don't have to tell you. I got a live wire that saw him go in there and come out. You don't know who saw him at the apartment. You forget he had to walk out. He lives on the second floor. You don't know if they got security cameras on the building. You don't know who has a doorbell camera in the building. His neighbor across the hall could have a doorbell camera. Could have seen him going in and out that night and through the next day, unloading stuff and taking stuff out in garbage bags. See, you don't know.
Yeah, I would be interested to know with the one that was, near the house. And it could not even have been very close to the house. It could have been, a good ways down the road, and they were just reviewing it because of everything that had happened.
Yeah.
Maybe
So
he just
it's
walked.
no telling what people have as far as visually have seen him coming and going somewhere, walking around, looking and lurking. His car on CCTV footage, doorbell cameras catching his car going up and down the street a couple of times. Somebody noticed the car going up and down the street. I mean, people do look out their windows.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see him coming back to that car if he took off clothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they have that footage.
But guess what? You still fucked if you took your jacket off and threw it in the front seat or the floorboard and still something that's going to light up with the luminol.
Yeah, I definitely think he was smarter than that to do something like that. However, this is not something you can get away with. That you're not going to be able to, even if you had a whole change of clothes underneath whatever you had on top, took those off. There's always going to be something.
And then you already know you got to go to the car. You have got to be already carrying a bag with cleaning items just so you can open the damn car door.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to leave blood on the car door so people can walk by and see in the daylight. Blood smears on your car door.
Ugh.
You have to think of everything. And he didn't. That's where he messed up.
No, and for him to seem so, smart, I think it's interesting he drove.
He didn't have a choice because what did I tell you? The ride share van probably stops at a certain time in the evening to get everybody back to their location in the schools. So he already knew if I'm going to do this, it's got to be late where nobody can see me coming and going. But he still messed up because people have cameras. You can't do anything now without going past the camera.
No, I have a light bulb literally on my front porch that's a camera. You would never even know it's a camera.
Well, and that's the point. And if I'm up to no good, I'm looking for something specific that's going to look like a camera. But that's the point. Now, things are so crafty. They're in the doorbells. So you don't see it.
Yep.
You can have a camera in the peephole.
There's little yard art you can put out these days that has cameras in them.
That's what I'm saying.
You never know. Never know.
You have anything. You have a design, like you said, in a planner, anything.
Have you heard anything about him taking a shower before he left the house?
No, I have not heard anything. How would I know he took a shower? How would anybody know he took a shower? The only way somebody would know that are the people that are working the case. And I doubt they would tell that.
He would still need to dispose of his clothing.
That's my point. But see, he's so stupid, I won't doubt that he did went and grab a washcloth. Because if he cut himself, he had to try to wash his hands off with something. Paper towels, baby wipes. He's not.
Yeah, and then that's another thing that gets me, with him being a vegan, the whole meat thing, you slicing and dicing people. As crude as that sounds, I hate to say it that way, but that's it's odd. It's so odd. I don't care if you eat meat or not, it's so crazy. But to think that he's a strict vegan that, don't cook your food in the same pots and pans that meat had been cooked, and you brutally stabbed 4 people.
Yeah, well,
and they say he was such a clean freak. His hands, I read his hands would peel where he washed them so much.
He was obsessive compulsive, probably, and it didn't matter about him being no vegan compared to killing people. That's just what he wanted to do. He chose a knife. That was his method. And if he killed again, that possibly would still be his method. Like they say, usually the MO doesn't change, but sometimes they will change if indeed they think somebody's onto them, they will change their method of killing. But that's another thing. Has he done this before?
That's another thing I was wondering, it'd be interesting to research, the unsolved cases in Pennsylvania around his area. I'm sure someone's already done that, but
he was in the area from August up until December, so he still had ample enough time to pick some victims.
Right. But then in my mind, I'm like, also, that's a very short time to pick your victims. But
because it's but you got to remember, he's in neighboring states, so he's had enough time. He could go right around, do just what he did here. If he watched these people case them, he went somewhere else, do the same thing. Well, what would be the difference? Because some people feel like he's done this before. Maybe this time he just got sloppy. And naturally, you're stabbing people. That's going to be messy. You're tearing into the flesh. And if one person wasn't in the bed, I believe 2 made it out the bed. 3, really. I think Xana made it out the bed. I think Ethan was already out of the room. And I think if I believe this person is talking on to that computer, giving that rendition of being a family member, let's say that's true, then that means one wasn't asleep. Maybe Kaylee wasn't asleep. Allegedly, she used the girl's phone. I mean, I don't know. I can't really say because I wasn't there.
It's hard to say. And I did finally go back and
Nobody
find
can say. A person could have used the phone, tried to call Jack a few times, and then just dozed off. He didn't answer.
Yeah, and I know people made a big, and that poor guy, God bless him. Could you imagine, losing, number one, she was your ex-girlfriend, whether you're still talking or not, and the whole world is blaming you. And then you've got this other Jack
that's why I never, because I learned from the Debbie Collier case, I said I would not accuse anybody of murder in this case, and I kept my word.
I still don't feel comfortable about
I never accused any of them, and I never gave a motive because you had 4 different people. I don't know those kids from Adam, what they were doing, not doing. How in the world would I know?
No, you wouldn't. I mean,
yeah, one person could have said something smart to somebody at the Piggly Wiggly, and they followed them home. I don't know.
Yeah, it's sad. And the other Jack boy, the same thing. Now, I did think that it was a little odd that he stood there, and didn't get food with them at the same time, and then they all of a sudden he takes off, or they take off without him.
But he walked. If you see, he went to the right, they went to the left.
But the minute the second surveillance came out that night that they, made a big deal about, where she says, "What did you tell Adam?" or whatever it was, you could see he was walking with them, like he wasn't bothered.
Talking.
Right.
And don't you think if I didn't want you walking with me, I would have said something?
Right. Exactly.
Hey, what you following us for? Why you walking with us?
Yeah. No. So I knew then there was no way.
Why they tell you can't assume stuff because you don't have the full video. You got first the grub bus, then later they bring out them actually walking down the sidewalk, all 3 of them, the same one that you all thought was the killer.
Yeah, no.
So it's like, damn.
And I knew then that he wasn't, because that was easy. They had all that footage. If he was right there, I'm sure
that's why it was all got released. That they walked down the sidewalk. I think somebody did that to show you that Jack wasn't the person that people thought.
I agree. I mean, I will admit that I thought it looked a little sketchy. Some things about the grub truck video, but it's easy when you're not there. It's easy to read something into anything.
Well,
and
that's like what
when that second one, there was no way.
Oh, his hands look like it's cut or this or that. At first, I couldn't tell because it was kind of grainy. The first picture I saw, but then the second video I looked at, I mean, it might be a little red mark on his wrist, but I really can't see. If I can't just see up close your hand, I'm not going to record saying you cut yourself.
Are you talking about the pictures from the traffic stop?
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah,
I can't. There's a part on like maybe his knuckle that looks like it's somewhat swollen, maybe, but I don't know that it's not the footage, the camera. It's hard to say. I mean, and it had been a month at that point. I would imagine a lot of the wounds would have healed if he had any. Mm-hmm. And if he was teaching at school.
Well, I can tell you, it definitely. You probably still would be able to see.
Yeah, you could probably see like little abrasion marks and things like that. But if he went to school teaching the next day, I would think that maybe that's, and I don't know, it depends on how much these kids paid attention to him too. If he had marks on his hands or bandages, I don't know if it was in a news report or what. I heard someone mention that he wore gloves in a grocery store, but in my opinion, you need to be more specific. It's cold as crap there. So do you mean like he kept his gloves on after he came outside? So, I don't know. Because I believe that he was probably smart enough to, to wear possibly some sort of glove when he did this that maybe he didn't.
Oh, do you think he wore gloves?
During the murders, yes, I think it's very possible he did.
Okay. So,
not that he didn't get any wounds.
That certain YouTuber and his wife driving by finding a glove. What do you think about that?
I think that's bullshit.
Really?
Sorry. Okay, so yeah, I'll give you this. They may have found a glove,
mm-hmm.
But there had been crime scene. There had been whatever else out there, cleaning, doing things. No, I'm sorry, they hadn't cleaned yet. I don't think that glove was related to the actual incident that took place. I don't foresee you wearing
just that's fine if that's true. That the glove is involved. I told myself that would be really bad.
It looked like a rubber glove to me. What did it look like to you?
I couldn't tell.
It looked like a rubber, like a latex-ish rubber glove. I don't picture someone wearing that type of glove.
A rubber
but
glove?
I mean, yeah, that would be horrible. But I don't think it's related.
Okay.
Someone's saying he wore gloves at school. Huh.
Yeah, I've heard somebody else say that.
Like during class?
Trying to see.
And see, that's interesting because there's a lady that I used to work with when we worked in office, and she was always so cold, and she would wear those little gloves, like they covered the tops of your hands, but not like your fingertips.
Mm-hmm.
And she would always sit at her desk and type, and I never thought a thing about that. So yeah, if he was wearing gloves at school, yeah, I think that's very interesting. I think it's odd that he was very talkative too about the murders. You would think that would be something he wouldn't even want them to discuss, but it's just truly impossible to understand somebody like him. It really is. Especially with the incel thing, I try to think, there's so many people in this role. Was he so? I could also see him being the type of person like this person's not good, and he could have someone, but that type of person's not good enough for him. So he preferred the other. So it was more of his own issue. Does that make any sense?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. He's a sick man. Have you seen the one at the memorial picture? What do you think about that?
About the what, honey?
Memorial where the guy's kind of standing off by himself.
I can't hear you.
The memorial, at the memorial where the guy's kind of standing in the back of the.
Yeah. I mentioned that earlier in the live. I said that was peculiar.
Yeah, the clothing definitely kind of coincide, but I'm not sure. I feel like that's him. I don't know, but I went back and found that video that you were playing.
Look at the head shape, the nose from far away, it could fit his profile. I'll say that. And then I think he had a hoodie jacket on, and I think he does wear one, a navy blue one, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. So my mom used to see a doctor that wore gloves and a mask before COVID. I don't know. It's interesting. Someone said he's arrived in Idaho.
Yeah, I heard that. I'm in the queue looking. I don't see anything coming up.
I know Bryan Ensign was on his way. That I had watched something before I got on your live stream, and it was saying that they had to stop and get gas. I think the type of plane that he is a smaller plane, so they're not able to hold certain amounts of gas, so they had stopped somewhere, but they were expecting him to arrive shortly, which I found that interesting that it's so publicized, because I thought they would have been a little bit more private about his arrival.
Okay.
Yeah, I bet he does think he's a superstar right now, which is absolutely sick. And with the vegan food, will he even eat the food that they provide him, since he's so particular about his
You're a vegan. Listen, you're a vegan. You ask for vegan food, then you eat what the hell they give you. If not, just starve it. That's on you. Because I don't think they should be making no preferential difference between he and the other inmates. Now, if you have stomach issues or something, that'd be different. But I didn't understand why they did it in Pennsylvania. I felt like that was crazy. Yes, Jennifer. You don't think he's a superstar, and then you're catering to him too?
So does he just eat non-meat?
I guess so.
Typically, does prison or jail, do they provide vegetables and things like that?
Well, I'm sure they do give you vegetables, but you got to remember, this is jail. What you eat in jail is not the same as prison. In jail, you eat basic stuff. You might get a bologna sandwich and a cup of fruit or an apple for lunch, and then dinner you might get something more of a meal. But for lunch, they give you just a sandwich for lunch in some jails. They don't give you a whole meal for lunch. So he'll have to put money on the commissary for him to get extra.
Ugh. And then I think, as a parent, I don't know that I could do that. If that, God forbid, was my child. I don't know that I could put money on the books for my child.
Well, they will. How much you want to bet?
Oh, I'm sure.
Most definitely.
In my opinion, it makes me have a problem with it.
Well, let me read this to everybody pertaining to the athlete. Doctors told family members that Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin's condition is moving in a positive direction, according to family spokesperson. This was uploaded 8 hours ago, ABC News. So we're going to pray for his recovery and pray that they can aid this young man back to good health. Now, will he be able to continue playing pro football? I don't know. I don't know if he'll even want to play pro football after this incident, but we're going to pray for his safe journey to a healthy life. Amen. Having a problem. Yeah, they'll have a problem. You've hacked up 4 people, and now you're sitting here getting preferential treatment about your food. That's not right. Look at this thing I'm going through. Keep looking at stuff. Woman sucked into engine at Montgomery Regional Airport New Year's. That can't be real. That can't be real. That can't be real. That can't be real.
And you're not seeing anything saying he's arrived?
No, just people up here talking. That's it. I see Coffin Daffer, she's speaking out on a news station about the traffic stop was odd. You want to hear what she has to say?
Sure, she's always interesting to me.
Yeah, I like her. I think she's let her hair go back dark. She has pretty hair.
Retired FBI agent Jennifer Coffindaffer and high-profile attorney Mark Garagos. It's good to have you both. Coffindaffer, that's a weird traffic stop. I got to be honest. Tailgating, okay, I'll give it to you. But he takes the guy's license, doesn't run it, starts having all these weird conversations from the passenger side. I guess he didn't want to be on the other side because that's the side with traffic. But does this feed the speculation at all that this was a planned stop to monitor their progress across the country?
I think it does, Chris. This is a very odd stop. Normally you take license, you take registration, you run it to make sure nobody's wanted or has any warrants. They engage in this conversation, which really has nothing at all to do with the traffic stop. It's just, I thought Kohberger did a good job of sort of diverting the conversation to a different discussion. It was just very odd.
Mark Garagos, any takeaway?
My takeaway is 2 nights ago, you and I talked about whether or not it was odd for a father to fly 3,000 miles and drive his 28-year-old son across country. What this body cam does, as I had suggested to you then, is it tends to suggest this is not consciousness of guilt. This is not fleeing. If it was, the father would have been driving the whole time, not the son. And clearly, to bolster the other point here, this was a pretext stop. I mean, they normally say following too closely. The other one, there's more guys. My father used to say there's more guys in state prison from a broken tail light than any other thing. So other than a broken tail light, this is the other pretextual stop.
So maybe they were just working with the feds and monitoring this along the way. Now, to the next point. Probable cause. We all understand, and everybody at home following this gets it too. We know that's the lowest threshold in terms of, mainline criminal adjudication. But here,
Is it true, Mark Garagos, and then I'll have Jennifer kind of flesh it out for us, that because they were going to do this move to get him at night, it required a higher probable cause threshold, as is being reported?
Sometimes that's the case, but I will tell you something, that there was another fact that I thought was important today. That at the time of his extradition hearing, it was reported that his defense team had already entered the location of this horrific crime. What that tells me is that they are working with the prosecution already, maybe even with the court, in terms of getting authority to do what we described the other night as a parallel investigation. Why is that important? Because I will bet you that the defense team will make a pretty compelling argument, whether it gets granted or not, so I don't know the judge, but a pretty compelling argument that there is no need to release the probable cause affidavit given the massive publicity and the obvious coming motion for a change of venue.
But, Dusty, they'll check this in the control room, but I think they just came out with some authorities in Idaho said, it's coming out. That they can have a gag order on the police and stuff right now. But once he comes there and the process begins, that'll be made public. Coffindaffer, in terms of thickening out the idea of what is this higher threshold of probable cause, what does that mean in terms of the degree of detail and what kind of show they had to make?
No, it's so true. In all the arrests I was involved in, particularly in SWAT, you can only enter during certain times, and that's typically 6 a.m. in the morning, not before, not when it's dark, because that poses more dangers. But you are able to on very high-risk arrests such as this. And they needed to articulate that, which meant they needed to bring in more details about this crime and the probable cause to show that they could prove Mr. Kohberger did it.
Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to NewsNation
Okay.
now.
News Nation. What do you think about all that?
And see what she just said, the high risk. That's why I question, they were saying they thought the stops were, and related to him being followed. I do not think so, because there was no additional.
Well, this is what the report is coming out of Indiana. We did not have any information that he was a suspect or that the car had an alert on it. That's been said at least 2 times. I've brought information to that.
Yeah, I believe that.
If that's the truth or not, but that's just what they're saying.
I believe that, because I think it was very risky. It would have been very risky to have one officer, and you could see the very first stop.
But you do have to ask yourself 2 times in 10 minutes is a lot to be pulled over.
It's odd.
State trooper. But the father says, well, we're a little punchy. So he's probably saying, the son probably was, tired, drifting, not his usual self. You are talking about a day worth of driving. You would be tired, especially if you're not resting. You need to stop and get 8 hours, 9 hours of sleep at a motel or something.
And I'm wondering, have they mentioned him stopping at all at a hotel?
I haven't heard.
Huh. But yeah, just my opinion. I do think it's odd that he was pulled that many times within that time span.
Yeah, 10 minutes, 2 times in 2 minutes, yes.
Yeah, that's very ironic. But I do feel like it would have been very risky to have,
Do they really want to tell us the truth that they told somebody to pull him over?
I don't know.
Because my thing is, you want us to believe that you tracked him across the country. That's what was said. So why would I not believe that you pulled him over deliberately? Because how do you track somebody?
That's good point.
From Washington State to Pennsylvania. That doesn't even sound normal.
Right. And if they were not related to them tracking them, then at what point did they start tracking them? Because
my understanding is that the state police in Pennsylvania said, well, we just got it about a couple of days or so in, because he really didn't want to be specific. So no more than 4 days, they got the information about him. Not a week, not this, not that. So it is strange to track somebody from all the way across the country. That's why I told myself, you want me to believe these people, FBI followed them all this way? This is crazy to me. But they had to in order to get the DNA for a verifiable match. Besides the ancestral DNA, because it's the ancestral DNA is what led them to him. But they still said they went and got his DNA. So that means they followed him probably. So he threw out something, a cup, this and that. That's why I think he probably was wearing gloves at school. He knew they would probably try to get DNA from him if he possibly did not wear gloves and knew he messed up. But that's the point. Why would you go to a crime scene without wearing gloves? So it's just a lot of unanswered questions.
I'm interested to see how he explained his.
Oh, he's going to do Casey Anthony. He's going to change the narrative per the evidence.
Mm-hmm.
That's how she got off. You kept changing. You got to answer for every narrative, everything they pull up. Then here you come with a different narrative. And everybody knows the truth only needs explaining one time. It never deviates. So that's exactly what's going to happen. Going to change it.
And then he already has his court-appointed lawyer, correct, in Idaho?
I don't know. They've got somebody lined up. They said, young lady. I think I've got that in my on my community page. Hold on one second.
I think those were the ones they had showed yesterday, baby, out there taking pictures at the crime scene.
The wrong phone. Yeah, Let me see. But they're not confirming it yet, so you know how that goes.
And speaking of the Ted Bundy thing, I could see him being one of those who wants to represent himself.
Let's see what Bryan has to say about this. Hold on. He probably's got something. Let's see. Yep. Let's see. Looks like they're filming something here. Let me see.
Hey everybody, I just wanted to get on here and update everybody. I made it to Idaho and I'm at the Pullman-Moscow Regional Airport where we are thinking that this plane is ultimately going to land. It's kind of a small airport between Pullman and Moscow. I've driven by a bunch of times since I started coming here. There's like a couple little small commercial flights per day, but it's a pretty small airport. But it looks like right now this is where the plane that has Bryan Kohberger on it is likely coming. We don't know for sure because you can track the plane. I mean, a lot of you have been tracking it, so you probably know this better than me. But you can see where it is. You can't see exactly where it's going. So
Bryan moves.
Yes. And when he was supposed to touch down in Moscow, they had already arrested him. Remember, because I think he said, I'll be there on Monday, and they arrested him on that Friday in Pennsylvania.
So no one's reporting yet. Interesting.
Okay, this is what somebody said. Former FBI agent confidential is speculating based on her experience. The two traffic stops in Indiana were from White and Laundrie public tips led to these planned stops. Yeah, I think somebody took a picture, if I'm not mistaken. That came out a week or so ago. That they were behind the car and had snapped a picture of the back of the car. Somebody from up there called, I think. So I believe that's true.
Huh.
Mm-hmm. Said we've got a car here that's got Washington tags.
And I imagine there wasn't really much they could really do other than pull them over.
I'm looking at him getting on the airplane 5 hours ago. He stopped in Champaign, Illinois, and somewhere else out west. It's just very interesting. Very interesting.
It's 10 p.m. now, and they reported that he left at 6:30 this morning.
Yeah, they're 3 hours behind us. Me. Eastern Standard Time. So it's 10 o'clock here, 7 there. Oh, somebody's comparing him to Ted Bundy's picture. Oh my God.
I saw that.
Found this on Facebook. Uncanny resemblance, in my opinion. Oh, Lord, y'all gotta stop.
And yesterday, I noticed he had more curly-ish looking hair than some other pictures that I had seen of him. Yeah, there's not a lot of pictures of him out there at all. He's at jail now, someone said.
Oh, yeah, he should be. That's what I was trying to find. Well, she said probable cause affidavit. Let's see.
Gosh, and then it'll probably be so heavily redacted we won't get anything out of it.
Okay.
They showed him being escorted. All right.
Yeah, I think I'm looking at that here. Yeah, it's nighttime there. Yeah. I think he's got a jacket on. Let me see what it says. It's 12 minutes ago. I'm glad they did not turn any lights on for this monster.
Gotta imagine being in the plane.
I
know it was a commercial flight, but
hands up close in this photograph where it looks like he's cut. Yeah. His was it 1, 2, 3, 4? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So his pointer and middle fingers look like there's something wrong with them.
On the right.
Now that they got like they're dented in or something.
Yeah. It almost looked like his hand was somewhat swollen.
Yeah.
The middle finger there was
like he's been punching something.
Mm-hmm.
And then it looks like also going down the side of the arm from the wrist, maybe there's a gash there. I'm not really sure. I didn't really want to say, if I can't see it up close, say, verbatim that he hurt himself after stabbing these kids. Well, let me go over and record a news nation and see what they got over here about him coming in. Let's see.
Deborah said, I would say I'm on the keto diet if I'm locked up. Steak every day.
Yeah, okay, you are.
That's funny.
Here it says, how much might affidavit reveal about him? I don't know. I don't see anything. I'm going to put in court TV. See if I see anything over there. 3 hours in up here. Lord have mercy. Ooh, my lives think it's go long, don't they? Nobody likes to come up and talk. Interesting.
I know, we need some new people.
They don't want to. Let's see. Oh, this 8 hours ago. Let's see if they got something live. No, nothing live. I don't see anything in the library. Just... sad. Oh, there it is. Lands in Moscow. Okay. Finally, Prep 2 had it. 48 minutes. It's dark. Didn't see anything. So he has landed. This content is 48 minutes ago by Prep 2 News. Thank you all so much for keeping us informed. It's dark, can't see anything. Let me see. I'm gonna go upstairs. Airplane coming. Yeah, they got the plane coming in. You all want to see it land? Crim 2 News has it. I'll post it. Matter of fact, I'll post it to my community board right now. You know I don't shoot. Look at me. He's home. How do you feel about that? Him being back?
Just one more step closer to justice.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be theatrics. That's my fear. It's going to be theatrics.
Yeah, and I mean, it's sad when I think about all the cases that we've discussed on here. very few have gotten, any sort of justice or
Yeah.
resolution, or, even the Cal City boys, the first case.
And that's what I want to talk about maybe tomorrow. Okay, that's the end of that. I'll turn this off. Get off of here. Many people are missing in America. Many people have been murdered. And just like a lot of people had a problem with the Gabby Petito case, a lot of African American people, some other races, that her case got so much national attention. And I heard this lady speaking in commentary on the news saying that every victim thinks that their case is a high profile case. And I thought, that's not true. There's no way I believe every victim thinks that, because which victim are you speaking of? You must be speaking of an alive victim, because a dead victim is not thinking anything. And I don't think every family believes their cases are high profile. So I don't think she understood what she was saying, because the commentary didn't make any sense. Most cases of murder are not high profile. They get mentioned a few times through the week, 6 o'clock news, 11 o'clock news, and then at some point dies down. You'd be lucky if they talk about it a straight 1 month. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Especially when you're in a city. Think about a city that has a lot of killings. Just think about somewhere like New York, Chicago, Memphis. Now Memphis keeps up with the storylines. I can say that they do. But somewhere that's bigger than Memphis, somewhere that's got like 10, 11 million people, like New York City, LA, are they going to keep talking about somebody being murdered day for day, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months? Possibly not.
No, I think a lot of that goes back to, the family, though, as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody's different as far as, whether you want to put yourself out there and continue to, bring awareness.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to say. That when that lady made that comment saying every victim thinks that their case is high profile, and I thought, that's not true. You can't say that. You can't speak. You're not even a victim. So how can you say every victim or family thinks that their case is a high profile? That can't be true when you would have people on the news and on the media and social media complaining that their cases aren't getting any attention. So that's not true.
Right.
There are many cases that you get a few little headlines through the week, and then when there's no suspect apprehended, yes, a new story rises in its place. And then you also have to have people advocate for a missing or deceased person. Because if nobody's coming forward talking about, their sister or brother or whomever that got shot, then it can die down very quickly. And this from people who maybe were transient or they were living a certain type of lifestyle, high-risk lifestyle. If there's nobody advocating for them, that story can get under the rug very fast.
And the majority of them do, yep.
Yes, the father did speak about other cases. And I'm glad he did that. I mean, he didn't have to, but he did. But it's true. A lot of people go missing every day, and they are not high-profile cases. Nobody is rallying for them every day and passing out flyers and a reward and asking, have you seen them? It's not like that. It's best when you have somebody that can advocate. That's what keeps the person's name in the public. Now, naturally, the person, as you see with Gabby's family, I believe, she was related to people in law enforcement, and people knew of her family. So the case, it spun very quickly coming out of New York.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Tasha, there are a lot of people that do speak about Shanquilla's case. There are a lot of people on social media, Facebook. There's people talking about it in North Carolina. The news is still covering that. They've also gone looking for the people who were involved on that trip. So they have been keeping people abreast. At least I know in North Carolina, they are talking about her case.
Yeah, they are. There's also a little girl missing. Now, we haven't heard much on her, but yeah.
On who?
There's also a little girl missing from the same, about 10 minutes away from where Shanquilla's from. Same thing.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, but you haven't heard much.
Is she a black girl?
No, her mom. I don't know. They're from overseas. The mom is, and the little girl. Yeah. But we not much on that either.
Okay.
But yeah, it's sad. I mean, because really, I was thinking about that last night. We talked about a lot of stuff on here, and very few do we ever get some sort of.
I said I was going to, this platform, I wanted it to go a different direction last year, but talking about the Wells case and Cal City and all them, it got me just turned around. But this year it will be back to the various topics that I talked about when I first came to YouTube. And naturally, there is a name change. That was something I wanted to do as an alternate channel, so I just went on and just let it be the main channel name. But I want to go back to talking about various topics. I also want to talk about missing Indigenous women. I watched a TV show called Alaska Daily. ABC runs it, and Hilary Swank is starring in it. And it's a subject matter I've heard from many people in the chat that they feel like these women are not getting enough commentary spoken about them missing. So I want to do a commentary pertaining to the Indigenous women here in America. I will probably try to do that this week. Naturally, I'm always going to bring you a crime file. That's a crime that's older, either solved or unsolved, that has happened here in America. But I just want to do different type of things than just the basic story that everybody just jumps on. You know what I mean? I want to have a little variety of things to talk about. I don't want this just to be a channel about true crime, because it becomes daunting, talking about death all the time. I like to talk about politics. I like to talk about various topics that's going on in America, because there are lots of things to talk about besides people being murdered.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that. Just murder all the time. So this week I will try to pick another topic of something. And one of my topics I've been able to do for 2 months now is, how far we go for your children.
That's a good one.
Yeah, because it's a topic I want to bring, and it also goes to the topics pertaining to true crime. You enable your children, you could end up being a part of a true crime story as well, because you coddle your children. And a lot of people don't realize that with kids, the never reprimanding them, no ramifications for bad behavior. Next thing you know, your child is in a news story in a YouTube video, and people don't realize that. Anybody can change, but the person will have to want to change. So something I noticed with somebody and their own child, just things that, like I said, everybody's different. But I personally am a person, I don't believe in going in debt because I have a kid.
Oh, absolutely not.
Now, how you spend your money is your business. But I personally am not getting ready to put myself in a predicament where I'm without, missing a meal and having children. That's totally different. I'm talking about where it affects your livelihood.
Yeah, no.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Such as like taking out loans, things like that. Putting up your house. Let's say your kid goes to jail. You put up your house. Let's say they jump bond. Now you're trying to figure out a way to save your house. You think that type of extreme behavior?
No.
Yeah, because that's utter disrespect. To expect a parent to pay for something like that, whether you got in trouble or not in trouble, and they come up with a lump sum of money, or they forfeiting something pertaining to their house, a loan, and then they get in a bind and now they can't pay it back. And where are you to help? And you're an adult.
Right. Yeah. Nope.
And another situation, similar, I don't believe parents should help women who have men that live in their houses. That's my personal opinion.
Parents should help. What'd you say? Men that live in their house?
No, I don't think they should help women who have men living in their houses or apartments.
So it's an adult child?
Yes, an adult child with a man.
I surely hope I ain't still taking care of my son when he's an adult.
No, I'm saying helping a woman who has a man already in her house. You follow what I'm saying?
You mean so just
your
helping
your girl child has a boyfriend and they're all grown.
Oh yeah, no.
And she needs money today. 2 weeks later, she needs money for something else. 2 weeks from that, you get where I'm going?
Yep.
Maybe today it's rent, maybe tomorrow it's a car note, maybe 5 weeks is a whole car, maybe it's whatever it is. My thing is, once you start that, when is it going to stop?
Right.
And if a person is not pulling their weight and living with the person, such as the man, why is he going to pull his weight when he sees, oh, well, she's got somebody that can help out. I ain't got to pull my weight. You know, it's the old saying, monkey see, monkey do. And even if the person has a job, they've got their own situations going on. My thing is, it's not for me to try to figure out somebody trying to get on their feet and all that. Men can make more money than women any day on any type of job. So you can go do day labor or do something part-time, solicit yourself on Facebook to do yard work or cut somebody's grass to make a couple of dollars in the evening when you're not working. You can find ways to make extra money as a man quicker than a woman can. So there's no reason for any man to be broke. I don't give a damn if you're 18, you're 20.
Or if you have a prior record, a lot like to use that as an excuse. That is the worst excuse ever to me. I know plenty of people that have.
Well, a lot of men are hired though. I'm truthful. They will hire a man with a criminal background quicker than a woman.
Right.
Because a lot of programs work with restaurants, retail to hire people who have had criminal records. So they give out more chances now for men who have criminal records because most of their work is like out in the field, so they're not really too concerned about them stealing or holding anybody up or blah blah blah. But I did see an interesting story today. A black guy down in I think it was Alabama or somewhere. He was working on a work release program or something at a some type of business. Car wash or something dealing with cars. He drove off and somebody's ex fitted. I said, "What? Why would you have him working in a business and not a jail prison system?" It doesn't make no sense to me.
Right, and I believe everybody deserves a second chance. I truly believe that.
Yeah, but he's not fully out.
That's what I was about to say. But you need to consider the amount of time. There needs to be a certain time frame.
I can only see work release for somebody that had a minor crime. And so I'm looking at this person like, well, what are you in there for? And how quick was it that you're going to be released that you go mess it up to go steal a car and then, I don't know if he stole a car or not, but I think it was a car business, some type of car wash business or something. I might be wrong. But I just can't see messing it up if you were going to be getting out soon. That's what I'm saying.
That's sad. And that ruins it for you.
As Lee said, my dad would never do that if I had a husband, live-in partner. Exactly.
I can't
Why
imagine.
should somebody help you?
I can't imagine asking my parent or my mother.
And that's my point. I heard this story from somebody a while back. Well, he just started a new job and blah, blah, blah. Okay, but that's going to be another excuse because I've heard 2 excuses within 2 weeks. Somebody can't pay their rent 1 month, and another one, something about a car. Then it's like, your daughter doesn't have any respect for you. That's how I look at it. That's just my personal opinion.
Right. And I do believe, there are times that people need help, and I can be the most giving person in the world. And if I'm giving you something, I don't want it back. Like, I'm not giving you.
Well, Oprah always said, if I give it to you, you do what you want with it, but don't come back asking once I give the lump sum.
And that's truly how I feel. Because, my grandmother always told me, if you give, you believe you're giving for whatever it is. What they do with it, that's their business.
That is true. That is true.
And, but if I've gave to you and I see that you are not doing anything to help yourself, no, I will never continue to give to you. Doesn't mean I don't wish you well.
Like that they'll just take, and they'll never give back. They'll never do anything for anybody else. And it's a broke cycle. You're just going in a circle. But I just have a problem with young people or older. It doesn't really matter. You work, the partner work, but yet you're going to your parent all the time needing money for something, and it's not no couple of dollars, $20, $30, $50. You're way out that range. You're in the couple of hundreds of range. This person is never going to be get ahead. The mother, parent, father, whomever is never going to get ahead because they already have a younger child that they take care of that's under the age of 18. That is their sole responsibility. There is no reason for any person to be taking care of a young child under 18, and then they're having to forfeit out money to a 19-year-old or 20-year-old that keeps coming needing money every other fucking week. You know your parents' financial situation, so you should feel some type of way to be coming saying, "Oh, well, I can't make my rent, or I can't make my car note." Okay, but you just asked for a lump sum 2 weeks ago. Now you can't tell me that's not right.
Yeah, no, I couldn't imagine.
No, that's not right. And then the parent acts like they feel obligated, like, "Oh, well, that's my kid," and okay, that's your kid, but your kid done put you in a bind because you felt obligated.
And if they both have jobs, that leads me to question, what are they doing?
Right, because that's my whole point, is that two people working. We know 4 weeks comes very quickly when it comes to rent, lights, gas, water, whatever they have to pay, car note, gas, whatever. But how long are you going to keep forfeiting over money to somebody every 2 weeks? Because at some point, when the next 2 weeks come, somebody should be getting a check. You understand what I'm saying? That somebody who just got a new job.
Right. Yeah, that's hard, especially when it's your family. I don't know. I couldn't imagine. I mean, even like.
Let me ask you this: would you take out a title loan on your vehicle or your house for your child?
Oh no, my grown child.
Mm-hmm.
No. Mm-hmm. No, absolutely not.
Okay.
I mean, even something as simple as going out to dinner with my mother, my stepfather. Like, I look at that like she took care of me all my life. Like, I almost feel that it's our duty to pay. Like, I always feel like.
Yeah, I understand. But I'm talking about a grown child.
No.
And you put yourself in a predicament where it affects your own pocketbook and your own bank account, such as, like I said, putting your house up because somebody went to jail, going out getting a title loan on a car or a house. You lose, and then now you're stuck. So let's say you don't have a car now because you ain't got something for your child so they could get a car.
No.
So what good does it serve if your car's now being taken by
You can't help anybody now.
That's my point.
You can't help yourself.
And you also have, let's say, a minor child at home. So ask yourself, nobody can tell me that makes any sense.
No, absolutely not. Like I said, I did realize that, people come across bad situations and, everybody needs help every now and then.
Yeah.
But, you've got to do something to better yourself. And, when you continuously come back and ask for things, there's something not right. And especially if there's a smaller child, no, I can't see myself.
And that's what I'm saying. And to me, that's selfish. You know your parents' situation. So if you know your parents got other small children at their house that they have to take care of, you really don't have the right to be asking for any money. Now, if your parents have that kind of money that they can forfeit out a couple of $100 every other week to you, then that's their prerogative. That's how they want to, continue to rear you. But when you know your parents don't make that much money, you don't really have any right to be asking for lump sums of money every 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's even worse.
Because they're paying rent. They're paying probably damn near $1,000 in rent for rent. They're paying water, light. They've got to put gas in their car. They got other bills maybe they owe. They've also taken care of minor children or child. So you're coming in needing $600, $700, and then 2 weeks from now you're needing a couple hundred more. I mean, ask yourself, how is that respectful? That's just my opinion.
I mean, just paying to eat these days. Well, I went to the grocery store the other day. A dozen of eggs was like $7.
What?
I swear. I was just at a Food Lion.
Girl, you need to go. No, Food Lion is high. You need to go get eggs from the Dollar Tree, honey.
Do they have eggs?
Yes, they do.
I didn't know.
That's gonna be the cheapest place to get eggs and hot dogs if everybody else is going up.
Look, I went to the Dollar Tree at Christmas to get some tissue paper, and I swear I wasn't going back in there. I stood behind the lady in line, and I was about to lose it. Who spent $187 on a bunch of shit? And it was, number one, I was just annoyed standing in line.
You know what? She might work with a church because they do buy stuff from the churches to give.
No, because she kept talking to me, talking about, did you see this? She was making it. I just picture, and this is so.
She might be doing that. She must be having a lot of stocking stuff and stuff.
I'm thinking you didn't spend $200. You ain't bought one damn present yet, because you ain't got nothing but a bunch of junk in your cart. I just pictured her house full of knickknacks and.
So what was in the buggy, Brittany?
Oh my God! Apparently, you can walk. They have this stuff for like backsplashes of your house.
Yeah. They do. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, the towel.
So she had 2 or 3 things of those. She was making scrapbooks. It just a bunch of
Probably a
knickknacks.
hoarder. I bet you, like you said, she probably went to her house, she came in the front door, she hoards it, she probably took all those bags and threw them in the corner and went and sat in a lazy boy that
that's
can't even get to the TV.
That's what I picture. I know that's awful, and I don't mean it rude because I know a lot of people like to collect stuff, but I hate knickknacks. I hate clutter. There's my OCD issue. But
you should see me. I almost had a nervous breakdown the past today. I would give myself headaches trying to redo stuff because I'm telling myself this is collecting, and I don't have nothing to put the stuff on. So I tell myself, don't go buy anything. That was the rule before New Year's. It's not. So you see what was on that little pictures I took. I said, don't go do nothing else. Because that's the rule. I was not supposed to bring anything in because I was taking stuff out. I've got stuff posted on, the marketplace to sell, and nobody's called to buy some of the stuff. I mean, it's really nice stuff, pictures and stuff that I just want to just get rid of some of this stuff. And I told myself, I'm going to have to just call this one agency that helps people and tell them, would you like to just come get this stuff? And I ain't going to even worry about making the money. Just want it out.
I used to be really bad about my son when he'd grow out of clothes that still had tags on them and things like that. Like, oh, let me keep these. I might know somebody or da da da. No, now I'm like, Goodwill. I don't care.
Yeah, let's take it to a flea market and sell it. It's easier.
And I say I will, but
buy that.
I won't.
Listen, you know what they say. There's a lot of Hispanic people. They love to shop. They do, and they buy that stuff up.
Well, yeah, and now I will say, my husband has a few Hispanic employees, and a lot of them have.
Yeah, that's what I do. I find somebody that has a lot of children.
Yeah,
they would be glad to spend a few dollars on that stuff.
But it's one of those things. Like, it's so much. I don't even care. Just take it. Just go. Okay. Just get it out. And then between my husband and my son with the tennis shoes, I can't stand it. I mean, I'm going to be completely honest. I spent over $100 this week purchasing these shoe bins for them. They have like little doors on them because they think they're
one of those cubicles. You see that cubicle thing I've got on my community page? I found that thing. I've had one like that years ago. A cherry wood like that. They used to sell them at Kmart, Walmart. How many cubicles it's got? 1, 2, 3, 9 cubby holes. They are perfect for shoes.
Well, that's kind of like
boxes. Don't throw the shoe boxes out. The shoe boxes and stack the boxes up inside of the cubby hole.
Well, that's my husband's problem. He says, "Oh, well, what if I want to resell these? Some of these shoes were $2,000." Well, I don't care. Because that's what he wants to keep them all in the boxes. I just couldn't do it anymore. So, whatever. They're gone.
But I'm just saying, those cubby holes with the 9 cubby holes, those are really perfect for like a walk-in closet or kitty room, child's room. And those will be perfect to put their little shoes and stuff in. Or stuff, the little toys like stuffed animals, things like that, because it's multi-purpose. You got 9 cubby holes plus the top part. So I think you can store a lot in them.
See, and I'm bad. I'm like, no stuffed animals.
Well, look, I didn't say 60. I didn't say 50 or 30. I think really you don't need no more than probably 6 damn stuffed animals. That's enough.
You don't need no 6 animals. He is 12 years. He's about to be 12 years old.
I'm talking about a smaller child. I'm not talking about no 12 years old. I'm talking about no 12-year-old. He's ready. Listen, he's ready for a damn iPhone. I know the kids, they love iPhones.
Oh, he just got him
one of those.
Yep, that's what he got for Christmas.
Well, that's what I said. So even though I don't think I'm gonna buy a child an iPhone, but I'm just saying the smaller kids, I can see a few stuffed animals.
Yeah, and we had some
30, 40 of them. That's just too many.
No, yeah.
I need that many stuffed animals. That stuff gets dusty. God forbid how everybody don't keep their house the same. That I've seen animals, dogs, they look so ratty. You're like, who has a rabbit chewing on his dog's head? What is going on? That sounds so terrible. You're gonna make me turn on an episode of Hoarders.
No, I can't watch Hoarders. I don't know how we just got on this subject, but I can't watch that.
Listen, it puts me in that mood of downsizing.
I swear it'll make my skin itch.
Listen, well, it made me go through my refrigerator 2 weeks ago. I went through, and you would believe what I found in there. Condiments that look okay. And the dates were off about a month or two. So I went and cleared all that out for the new year because that's an old black folk tale about having old stuff in your house. So I went through the refrigerator, I went through the cabinets, I went through the shoes a week ago, flip-flops, stuff I had bought from Walmart. They was discounted real cheap. I just went through this stuff and threw it in the dumpster. I said, I don't need all this stuff. I got enough this and that. I got enough. If it was that, I'm telling you the way I felt today when I went to the stove, when you pull that drawer out, I said, you know what? I'm so sick of this shit. I want to take every pot pan, throw it in the garbage. I want to take every Tupperware bowl and just live like an old man that puts TV dinners in the microwave.
Look, and I can remember my grandmother having those country crock butter, the country crock butter that came in those big tubs.
Yeah.
She would keep all those. Oh, I would lose it if I had that. No, we don't have a lot of Tupperware in my house.
Yeah. No, that's old. That's old black folks. But white folks do it too. A lot of races do that. They save plastic because some of my little luncheon meats that come in the Kroger things, I would reuse them. To just put like something small in. But then after a while, each time you get done with a luncheon meat, rinse it out, then you wash it, and it's like, okay, how many of these are you going to have stored inside of your cabinets?
Oh yeah, no.
I think those are okay for somebody that's got a big family. Maybe they pack lunches. You want your kids to put something, in a container to take to school for lunch.
Now, my mother-in-law, it's funny because she used to do that. She would send random things over the house, but now, before we have like get-togethers or Christmas, Thanksgiving, she'll go to like the Sam's and stuff and literally get the to-go boxes. I'm like, thank you, Jesus.
Yeah, and you know what? And that's a good idea. That way it doesn't keep you from holding on and the melting and getting grease in them, trying to clean them out. You eat off the styrofoam when you're done. When you get throw the damn styrofoam in the garbage. Then you're done. So I get that. And usually people who serve a lot of dinners will buy those styrofoam, to-go plates.
Right.
You cook a lot and have a lot of people that come over to your house to eat. A single person probably don't need the styrofoam food container.
Well, and speaking of things like, giving your kids money and things, those are things that, kind of annoy me about, people like, for instance, this person you're speaking of, did they need help to buy things for their children for Christmas? Because
I asked him about that. I asked him over a month ago. I said, have you started or I think I said, do you have a lot to give for Christmas? And she was like, yeah, kind of snide, like, yeah, of course I do. And I thought, okay, it's not that serious. I'll just make a conversation. I thought, well, I guess you'll be sitting up here orphaning something for Christmas. You'll be doing without something for Christmas.
And see, when I say going without something, I don't think of going without eating or going without something like that. So that's crazy. And at the same time, Christmas is coming all year long. It's coming. It doesn't hurt. No, my mother-in-law's really good.
Listen, there are people who got grown children in their house. They feel like when you get to a certain age, they don't buy you gifts anymore. I'm not saying that's right or wrong because everybody's pocketbook is different. So I'm not going to judge nobody. I just know I'm the type. I'm a grown person. I like Christmases. And the reason why I like Christmases, birthdays, is because as a child, I had the best of stuff. Yep. So that's all I know. Now, as an adult, naturally, I've had to do without because I wasn't a child anymore. But I still, as an adult, want something nice. So that's why I buy my own stuff. You see what I'm saying? So I don't sit around and wait for somebody to say, hey, you need a new picture, you need a new robe, or you want a new bracelet. Yeah, I'll go get it my damn self because I know I'm the only one that's going to damn get it. I'm not married. I don't have a boyfriend. Do you understand? So Angie buys her own stuff. And I do like it. And I
discussed that this year after Christmas. Because with it not even being a financial issue, actually, I should say my sister has a new significant boyfriend, and he only believes in buying children Christmas gifts.
Yeah, a lot of people like that. I know a lot of black people like that. When the kids get grown, they say they don't do any more gifts for the children. They just get it for the grandchildren if they have grandchildren.
Right, so he only believes in getting gifts for his children, and my mom's not getting gifts for everybody, whether she knows or not. So she was really bothered by that, and I was like, well, Mom, it's not a financial issue. I said, that's just how he feels. Because, it's one of those things at this age, I don't know what to tell my mom I want for Christmas. Anything I want, I've already went and got it, or I'm going to get it. So it kind of made me question, like, should we continue this? And my mom's like, yes. So I guess we'll be continuing it. But I mean, same thing for my mother. She's hard to buy for because
some people are.
What do you buy somebody that has everything? To be honest,
and that's how it is with people who are wealthy. They just buy each other stuff that most of us don't want. Like
that's what I hate.
A blender, a Keurig, or a new coffee maker, because they have everything. So the things that they buy for each other is like household stuff to use around the house, because they've got all the bling and the, you know what I mean, the nice purse, the shoes, and the jewelry. They know the average person ain't gonna buy them that. So friends and family just think, oh, I saw this nice toaster oven thing, and they might even cost a little penny, but it's something us regular people would not want, because we'll say, well, I can buy that any day. I need that any other day. And I can tell you that's how I am. For Christmas or birthday, I want a nice gift. I want a nice piece of jewelry or something like that, something I can look at pretty. That's just me personally, because I feel like I can buy a toaster oven anytime.
And I completely agree, because that's just how Christmas and birthdays work. But I would have to give it to my mother-in-law, because she is right the opposite. It is going to be something that you need, and when you open it, you may not think you need it, but I have to give it to her, whether it's, and she will inquire whether she's snuck into my own bathroom to see what color my towels are, what it is, in my bathroom versus another bathroom. She's going to make sure like it is something that she really feels like we need. Okay. And I'll like, I didn't really feel like I needed new towels, but I mean, she bought me good new towels that match my master bath.
And there's nothing wrong with that. It's something that a person can use. So it's nothing wrong with buying. And I can see if a person's just starting out for a Christmas gift, I can see buying them something really, something a little plush, something nice, or even out the box, just a real nice little gift where they feel welcome, like, okay, they really thought about me. My thing is, I buy people something that I will want. I'm the type right now, don't buy me no footies and no socks for Christmas. I'm not funny like that. I don't want no damn socks. I can go buy socks any day. But I know people will.
I'm also a gift card person. I give gift cards like crazy, but then I feel like
that way a person can go get whatever they want, and you have not wasted money on stuff. Because let's be truthful, a lot of people have wasted a lot of money over the years buying people stuff that people did not like, did not use, gave it to somebody else. You probably in your little feelings, you find out it's still sitting in a box or they never use it. So yes, money or gift card is the best thing, especially for people who are hard to purchase items for.
Yeah, right. Like my mom likes those little Alex and Ani bracelets. I bought her one of those little bracelets, and I bought her a gift card because I'm like, there's nothing I can really, buy you or whatever. So yeah, but when it comes to buying your kids things, I do think that is the most important. But I don't know. So, and that's it's sad because
every day lately has been becoming Christmas and birthdays point, because my birthday's at the end of the month.
It's when?
The 29th. Yes, my birthday's the 29th, same day as Oprah Winfrey.
Are you a Capricorn?
I'm Aquarius.
Oh, you're the same as my son then.
Yeah. So
you like the water?
Huh? Yes, I'm the water bearer. That's what we do. We carry that water around.
Girl, you told me you wouldn't even put your feet in the pool.
So, hey, I ain't got nothing to do with the astronomical sign. That's between Jesus and my mama. I ain't got nothing to do about that, girl. Because guess what? I ain't going to be holding it long. It's too damn heavy. But anyway, yes, I am the water, and my mother, she was the fish. She's a Pisces.
Pisces. When does Pisces?
February. End of February.
Maybe I have to look. No, I'm a Scorpio.
It's a fish.
All day.
Pisces is a fish.
You have to remind us though that it's your birthday.
Oh, I will. I will. And I told myself, I don't need. And I look around. I have really treated myself for Christmas. I got a nice little present sitting right in this corner over here. She's pretty. I treated myself. That's why I say I treat myself. I don't wait for nobody to give up nothing. The days of that my last stomach. I was wanting this little one male was talking to me, and I told him I want to be another flat screen, and honey, he talking about, well, I'm going overseas. And I thought, okay, well, you going overseas anyway, honey. Just have a good time. And I ain't never looked back. I went right and got what I wanted and put her right in the corner.
You got your new TV? Yeah, there's nothing like those are like I consider that like an essential.
Hey, let me tell you something. They don't cost a lot, and to me, they're worth the money. And I like being able to see. You understand? I want to see it. I want to be able to hear.
That is so funny because we went out of town for Christmas, and I laughed every night because we got this cabin or whatever. It was this huge cabin. I mean, it was huge because we had other people with. But I laughed so hard at my husband. He would stand up right at the dresser where they had the TV watching the ball game the whole time. I said, "What are you doing? Why don't you sit down? I can't see this shit." But it was
small.
Yes.
Yeah. Once you get used to watching a certain size, I mean, it was no different than the old days when you had like a 27-inch or a 32-inch. So then those are nice size TVs. Your eyes get accustomed to that. When you start watching something smaller than that, it looks funny. Your eyes are not used to seeing anything smaller. So that's what I've treated myself. I've got a nice big size in my bedroom, and my room is really, really tiny. So that thing looks gigantic in there. I ain't used to looking at anything small, and I ain't gonna except for this laptop.
But then I don't know. Yeah, but TVs were never a big thing to me until I
love electronics.
I'm a
Magnavox fan. I always loved the Magnavox TV because the pictures were always better quality, better sound. So I always kept me a Magnavox TV. I always kept the Magnavox TV and a DVD player. I'm real funny about the electronics now. And I believe in the same now. I've got a nice Bluetooth I ordered a year. It'll be coming up 2 years to spring up off this PAL I ordered online. And I'm very content with her. I like to cast, my music, my phone to that Bluetooth box. It's really nice. And I got a good deal on that online. But I like my electronics. I'm very funky about my electronics. I like a good, decent brand for the electronics.
Yep, I agree.
They last longer. They do. They will hold up better. They have off brands that have held up. Back in the day, Magnavox made Sylvania. And that was a good TV player. Back in the day.
Yep, I remember you could buy the little sets where you could put the 3 or 4 little CDs in at the top. Spin around. But no, we've always been Samsung everything. TV.
Yeah, Samsung is a very good product, especially with the television.
We had bought 2 washing machines that were Samsung. And they have
I think that would probably be the best for the newer washing machines and dryers.
They've been awful. They've been awful. We have
Really?
Yes, both of them have messed up. So we went back to, I don't know, it's a Maytag or something.
Maytag, okay.
But I was so surprised. But yeah.
Well, Maytag's been around a long time. I would think they're pretty good.
Yeah, and those have worked out pretty well.
Okay. Well, I know those newer machines they say are funny about the certain detergents being put in them.
So you have to look, and I'm funny about my detergent anyways, but you have to look on the bottle of detergent. You can use the powder, but it's not really suggested. But you have to look on the bottle for that little GE symbol that kind of has a swoosh around, and that's the preferred.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
But most of them have it. Without even having to look for it, it's already on there.
What is it exactly? What is it?
I use the liquid, but it's nothing really.
So that's biodegradable? Is that the problem or what?
Say it again.
Biodegradable? Is that the issue?
I have no idea. I mean, I really don't know why it is.
I remember hearing about that a few years ago. You have to be careful about the detergent you use in a newer machine. So I was trying to figure out what is it that the liquid or powder does. Hello, Delaney. How are you, honey?
I really am not sure. But no, we used to use powder back in the day. But I mean,
but I'm saying, can you use it in a newer machine? Because in the laundromats they've got the newer machines in there, and I'm sure there's people who still using powder.
Yeah, and I'm not. I'm in my basement right now. I'm about to look.
You have to have a damn good machine to use powder, because if they don't rinse well, you got too many clothes. That stuff will be still clung
okay, so look, I'm in my basement right now, so I'm looking, and I'm not. It says liquid detergent only. I need to move the tray for powder.
I think that powder gets clunked up.
Yeah, and I can remember washing jeans before. And
yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why they want you probably use the liquid. Yeah. Because if you put too many clothes in any machine, naturally, especially the top loader, that powder don't work well. It don't dissolve down. You have to have more water to rinse it properly.
And it is probably, somebody just said it's probably a marketing strategy. It probably really is.
Yeah, it may be.
But I do
everything is about the money, is it not?
Yeah, the high efficiency. There you go. Somebody just said it.
Okay, thank you, sweetie. Low sudsing. Okay. That's why. So yeah, the powder would have more suds if you put too much powder in there. And take too much water trying to rinse it off the clothes. Well, we learned something different on the vault. When it went from true crime to talking about washing machines. Golly. I will get out of here.
Well, you have a good night, Queen.
You too, honey. I've enjoyed you. And I will try to pick up the topic tomorrow to do kind of early. Because I haven't had, I ate potato chips late, and I haven't even had dinner until 11 o'clock. That's pitiful. I've been on this live for almost 4 hours.
Oh, goodness. Yeah,
we do this. We do this when we talk. You know how we do.
I know.
All right. Thank you, honey. I enjoyed you all.
Tomorrow.
I know. Okay.
Talk to you later.
Okay. Good night.
Bye.
All right, everybody. That's Brittany from North Carolina. Thank you all for your time. I brought you commentary pertaining to Roberta Laundrie. She and her husband are being sued by the Petito Schmidt family in a civil case pertaining to information that they, withheld, and they had knowledge that their daughter was deceased, Gabby Petito. And the second part of this live is pertaining to Bryan Kohberger, who has now landed in, Idaho. When I get more information pertaining to the arrest warrant, and if they decide to open that information up, I will bring you that possibly tomorrow. I want to thank you all so much. Diane, everybody's having that problem. YouTube controls the notifications. I have no jurisdiction on you receiving notifications. What they recommend is that you unsubscribe and then resubscribe. So just go in and unsubscribe and then hit it back again, and you should get your notifications. Thank you all so much. Hope you all had a wonderful holiday season. Happy New Year to all of you. Blessings to you. Please be safe. Be aware of your surroundings. As I said, new direction with this network, talking about various topics. And tomorrow I'll try to bring a all-around subject matter besides what's going on out in Idaho, because naturally there are other things going on in the country besides this case. And I would like to broaden my horizons and yours as well to talk about various topics. And thank you. You're very welcome. You all be very safe out there. Have a wonderful night and Happy New Year. You have been listening to The Vault. Talk to you guys later. Thank you for your time.